Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. We are behind in our YSL trial coverage because I had to talk about Monique and King Messiah last night. We're going to continue to talk about them tonight. So we're going to be behind in the YSL trial a little bit this week. We are, but you know, we're here for it. This is what we do. We're here to cover the story. All right, I'm getting straight in with the testimony from yesterday. Now, apparently, Mounk had to tell the DA yesterday, "Hey, bitch, stop screaming at me. I'm not your kid." I find that hilarious. He had to go and shoot off. Lil Woody told her she was being aggressive too. So 2 witnesses that you brought in, Miss Prosecution, to help your case to testify on your behalf have told you to stop being aggressive with them. That's crazy work. Why would anybody ever want to be your witness if that's what you're doing to people? Oh, 1.25. Let me get it.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope y'all
like they started 47 minutes ago yesterday. They had 47 minutes worth of arguments before they brought the jury and the witnesses.
Very nice speech, Youngs. Mr. Steele, I believe you were finishing up your examination of this witness.
What, 8 hours? 8.5 hours. They talked for an hour before. So we might run straight through.
Your Honor, may I approach Mr. Sledge?
You may.
Mr. Sledge, may I approach you?
Yes, sir.
I'm showing you what I've marked as Mr. Williams or JW 255. You take a peek at this for me, tell me whether you recognize that
It's been 91 today. Cold as hell the past 2 days.
Have you seen it prior to, 2024 and 2023, going back? Is it the same condition?
Yes.
Any alterations or changes to it that you can tell?
No, none.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of Mr. Williams 255.
It's admitted.
May Mr. Kokomo display it, Your Honor?
Yes.
It should come up on your screen, but it should be the same exact thing. You can check it. That's in front of you, okay?
Yes.
And if Mr. Kokomo can blow that up at all, and not. So this is exhibit number at the very top.
Mr. Kokomo.
He
sound like a Dragon Ball Z character.
JW Jeffrey Williams 253. I believe it's 255, but.
Come on, Mr. Kokomo.
Let me see if I can. You see at the very top 255?
Yes.
Okay. And then if Mr. Kokomo can just center so all the words can be seen in the actual writing. Do you recognize this as a social media posting? And do you see the date?
Yes.
And it's from DMAC, got me to TLO, banging at DMAC.
DMAC 2 banging.
You see it says December 27, 2014.
Olympian. Yes.
And there's a agreed that, and I'm changing it just because that's how I am. A-N, lied to the mama, brother, sister.
Oh shit, why didn't none of y'all remind me last night that James Earl Jones died, the voice of all the evil, well, not even all the evil characters, one of the most famous evil movie villains ever. Darth Vader is dead. Mufasa has died again. Y'all ain't say nothing?
But get to the courtroom and tell the God's honest truth, 3 question marks. I don't get it. And then hyphen at Young Thug. Do you see that?
Yes.
Or did I read that
Somebody
fairly
need
accurate?
to hurry up and add his
fairly
voice.
accurate.
Yes.
All right. And is that similar to what has been marked and played in states number 447Y, where you started out with, I'm going to, and this may not be exact, but something like, I'm going to swear to tell the truth, I'm going to lie on God. Remember that?
Yes.
All right. Can you tell the jurors what it means, if you know, when it says at the end of it, the hyphen at Young Thug?
Before it,
Can you explain that to the jury?
I don't get it.
Yeah, right after that.
At Young Thug, I mean Young Thug, I'm sorry.
Yes, do you see that?
Yes.
Do you know, if you don't know, just say I'm not sure. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't know exactly what it means.
Okay, and this one goes back if you remember, if you don't, we can show it to you. But do you remember what the state used on January 26, 2015, say repost? Remember that?
The repost was?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then you showed the jury the 2015 video. Jeffrey Williams, remember that?
Yes.
And this one is approximately a week before January 4th, 2015, right?
Yes.
December 27, 2014.
Yes.
And prior to this, prior to 2014 and 2013, 12, going back, have you heard the same type of statement?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, did anyone from the police department or the district attorney's office, and I'm saying after you entered the plea, so this is December 28, 2022, okay?
Yes.
After that, so coming forward.
Yes.
Did anyone from the district attorney's office or one of their teammates, police, whomever, did they ever ask you?
Objection. Relevance as to what anyone else ever asked this witness, if Mr. Steele wants to ask something again.
If he want to ask something, he can, but you just objected.
The evidence
He was trying to ask.
Shows the gentleman the evidence.
Your Honor, my objection.
I want to know if anybody ever went over with him that it's a repost.
Your Honor, sustained.
Thank you.
At your meeting, we'll just do it on June 9th, 2024 at the Fayetteville
Wait, sustain, no.
Did District Attorney Love ever ask
Objection.
you about?
Objection. Yes, sustained.
Did State's Exhibit number 447Y, the repost,
Judge,
January 26, 2015, was that ever discussed with you?
Objection, Your Honor.
God damn. Already?
Where it says on the January 4th, 2015 video, and if you need to see it, I'll show it to you. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Where you read to the jurors that Mr. Martinez or Duke said it first?
Yes.
Remember that? Okay. Did you ever explain to anyone about
Objection, Your Honor, that would be hearsay.
He's right here.
Explaining outside the court, it would be relevance and objection.
Sustained.
All right.
Judge,
Now,
God
Attorney
damn.
Love,
Can you
when you were
overrule one
direct
thing just so we
examination,
can believe you playing
why
for?
you didn't go to the police on the morning of January 11, 2015
Like, you
when
do
you dropped
not
off
be
Mr.
hearing the
Copeland at
defense
City
out when they
Police
object.
Department homicide. Do you remember that question?
Yes.
All right. And you were aware that the police called Mr. Copeland that
Yes.
night, and then Mr. Copeland went down to see the police, right?
Yes.
Did the police call you and tell you that you were the prime suspect?
No.
Objection to the compound question.
Thank
No.
you.
You were asked questions about
Jeez.
the music company or business YSL, direct deposits. You remember that, working for them,
Yes.
working for Mr. Williams? You remember all those questions?
Yes.
Do you personally know? Do you personally observe? Does that music business have lawyers working for them? If you know, if you don't know, just say I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. Do they have accountants?
Yes, I think they have a county though. I know that.
How about
Well, they got some type of lawyers working.
Objection, Your Honor, vague as to managers.
Yes.
now you were asked a lot of questions also about what you explained to the jury that anybody can claim YSL. You remember all those questions?
Yes.
There was no
She gonna
beating
object
in,
to
there's
it?
no initiation. Do you remember those type of issues?
Objection. I asked the question.
Never have. Then you never have to get beaten in or however.
Somebody could just say I'm with YSL.
Right.
By doing that, does that mean that they're with the record company YSL?
Objection, vague by doing that.
How is that vague?
Now,
Oh my goodness. She was on one yesterday. See,
you mentioned yesterday meeting with Jeffrey and Mr. Brian Birdman Williams and yourself and Mr. Donovan Thomas and others. I'm not
shout out to the 5
shortly
people on
before
both
God forbid
channels.
Mr. Thomas was
There you go.
days before he was killed on
Good
January
morning.
10,
Good
2015 at TI Studios. You remember that testimony?
Yes.
Is TI the performer TI that you're talking about? Do
Yes.
you know his real name?
Some Harris. That's all I know. I know his last name Harris.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
And is he a phenomenal, well-known, accomplished artist?
Objection, Your Honor. Sustained.
Not Tip.
You were asked about the definition of snitching. Do you remember that?
I don't remember asking that.
It's the
Do you
truth
remember
teller.
saying in the video 447Y snitching, and I'm not going to say, but BIT blank 8?
Yes.
Snitches bitches.
Tell the jury what snitching means.
To me, my definition of snitching is another person lying on another person.
Lying on another
Now,
person. I'm glad he made this shit up just for the court, but lying on somebody is snitching. No, that's lying on them. That's setting them up. That's not snitching. That's lying. Boy, these niggas is they is trying they best to stress this. Like I gotta give Young Thug's lawyer credit, because y'all remember at the beginning of the trial, the shit been going on so long that remember his lawyer introduced to the courts, to the open court, that Young Thug means young, truly humbled under God. He's trying to sell that Young Thug, the Thug in Young Thug stands for truly humble under God. Now they went so far with the charade that this nigga done had this shit stitched in a suit jacket and he done wore it to court. You gotta give him credit. They is trying anything. But I mean, when you face life, you might as well try anything. Fuck it. They ain't never seen this defense before. We're gonna say Thug stand for truly humble God. That he got a whole bunch of, I think he came up with some meanings for what slat and all this other shit meant. He lying, but still, you gotta give him credit for trying.
On from December 28, 2022, I'm using that date because that's the date that you were released from custody on this case. That's the date of your guilty plea, okay?
Yes.
All the way through today, but including Sunday, June 9th, 2024, when you met at the Fayetteville Starbucks?
Yes.
District attorney and your lawyer and the investigator. Did anybody go over with you what's been gone over with you in court, the plea agreement?
No.
You told the jury that Jeffrey idolizes Lil Wayne or Mr. Dwayne Carter. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
Did you ever hear, are you familiar with Lil Wayne's work? His music, his
Yeah, I'm familiar with his music.
Have you ever heard him use the word slime, the term slime?
Yes.
Was that before you ever heard anyone say it, or was it after?
I don't heard it said before, but he's like one of the first artists I heard say.
He being who?
Lil Wayne.
Wayne definitely was saying slam first.
Your Honor, I don't have any other questions.
All right, Ms. Weinstein, you had three cross.
Thank you.
Damn. Good job, Brian. He ended his cross after 6 questions. You know, I ain't finna talk to this nigga all day.
Good morning, Mr. Sledge.
Good morning.
My name is Doug Weinstein, and
What
I'm
do,
the
Mr.
Monte
Steen?
Phoenix
Oh no, hit the wrong button, y'all.
attorney.
Yes.
May I approach you and show you something?
Yes.
Thank you.
Come on, Mr. Weinstein. I'm here to show the prosecutor first. We can't hear that shit. Did they cut the mics off?
Do you recognize the action
did.
performed by that player that
Yes, Tyrone here.
And testimony about it.
Okay.
Okay, just do you recognize
Tyrone
that?
here,
Yes.
sound like
Yes.
an 80s
Do you
basketball
recognize the
player.
action that you performed?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm moving to admit Kendrick 1.
I object on the basis of relevance and foundation, and if we need to approach so that Mr. Weinstein can show the court what it
Yeah,
is.
I haven't seen it, so.
Okay.
What?
Giving out our.
I need to step out. Okay.
And put the witness out. Son of a bitch. So they all day yesterday was just a big argument fest, apparently. I don't know how long this is going. All right. Is it admitted or not?
Particular thing, have you seen that clip before that I showed? A few more questions about that video that I showed.
And like further foundation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so she allowed it in. This nigga got on the jeans. It must have been cool in Atlanta like it was here yesterday. Because definitely yesterday,
Mr. Sledge, I have a few more
jackets
questions about
and
that video
stuff.
that I showed you.
Yes.
Have you seen that video of that player before?
I know who the player are.
Have you seen him doing this particular thing? Have you seen that clip before that I showed you?
I don't recall seeing the clip, but I just seen it when you just showed it to me.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
I didn't watch Miami game yesterday.
Okay.
He talking about Tyreek here. He said Tyrone
I'm going to
here.
show you something else, all right?
Yes.
May I approach?
You may.
Most of these athletes grew up in the
You see this photograph?
Yes.
so that would
Have you seen that photograph before?
representation.
No, not to the day.
Okay. And I will not be asking you questions about that photograph. December 28th, 2022, going back to that date, where did you wake up in the morning?
In Fulton County Jail.
And where did you wake up on January 1st, 2023, New Year's Day?
And at home.
At your home,
Yes.
in your own bed.
Yes.
And you signed that plea deal that we've already talked about.
Yes.
And you initialed all those statements that were made in there, right?
Yes.
And you would have initialed anything to get out of jail on that day, correct?
Yes.
If they would have asked you if you could say that YSL did
Objection
not kill
calls for
Tounk,
speculation.
What's the question?
if they had asked you,
Objection to if they had asked you, just nothing else beyond that, Your Honor, because it's speculation.
but again, you signed and initialed all of that, and you would have signed and initialed anything.
Objection.
You have a right to correct?
Asked and answered.
No more questions.
All right. I think nobody else had cross, is that right? Is that still the case? Okay, all right, is there redirect?
There is, Your Honor.
All right.
Mr. Sledge, you were asked quite a few things by Mr. Steele on Friday regarding what was and what was not asked of you at the time that you entered your plea agreement with the state. Do you recall that?
Yes.
She just so she even moved forward, and she loved the color pink because now she got
Your
a
Honor,
pink
just to
jumpsuit.
satisfy the rule completely.
Not the hot pink like she had on the other day.
444Y,
AKA
the
pink.
entire plea agreement, or states 18S, which was admitted for a different purpose at a
All
different
right,
time.
any objection?
Miss Hilton got on the silk press with the purple. She looked. I like how Miss
Your
Hilton
Honor, I
looked
would
today.
object to further commentary on this. We need to approach.
She looks like a normal
I'm tendering
human.
the exhibit.
I understand he's not commenting, he's stating what his objection is because I asked him to. I think we might need to approach to resolve it though.
Yeah, damn. You know, they barely working. Look at this. God dog. And they be up there talking for a long time. Let Miss Hilton slip back in.
Was by someone else. Were you, Mr. Sledge, on cross-examination just now? I believe it was by Mr. Weinstein. Forgive me if it was by someone else. Were you asked the question whether anyone ever went over the plea agreement with you between these?
Ma'am, you objected when Brian Steele asked about this, so why are you bringing the question up if you objected to it and he didn't have to answer? He couldn't even ask the question. That was Steele that was trying to ask it. In every way he asked, you said objection, and she sustained.
December 28, 2022.
If somebody
when you
gonna call
signed the
objection,
document that is states 444Y and states 18S, and today. Were you asked that question on cross-examination by either Mr. Steele or Mr. Weinstein?
I don't know. I don't think Mr. Steele asked me something about June the 9th, so I don't know if Weinstein just asked me that question.
All right. Did Mr. Steele ask you on cross-examination whether anyone went over that document that you signed on December 28, 2022 with you at the June 2024, I believe it was, meeting between you, your attorney, Investigator Lancico, and me in Fayette County? Did Mr. Steele ask you that?
I think that's what the question was.
And was your answer no?
Yeah, no, yes,
At that point, had the document already been signed in its entirety? Had you already signed everything you
oh,
needed to
yes,
sign?
yes,
On cross-examination last week, you were asked about hiring an attorney for the purposes of this case. And let me actually back up and ask you this. You were asked a few questions about what was going on at the time that you signed this plea agreement on December 28th, 2022. Do you recall that?
yes,
Do you recall being in a courtroom here in Fulton County on the date that you signed that plea agreement on December 28th, 2022?
I don't think I was in the courtroom, I think I was in the tank in the back when I signed.
Okay. Were you in a courtroom when you acknowledged under oath that everything that you signed was true?
Yes,
Did Mr. Steele, Mr. Sharp, or any of your other friends' attorneys ask you on cross-examination? Sustain. Okay. Did you tell the jury that you loved Mr. Steelwell? You loved Shannon?
yes,
Did you tell the jury that you loved Defendant Williams?
yes,
And Mr. Steelwell and Mr. Sharp and Mr. Williams, they represent people that you love, correct?
yes,
All right. So on cross-examination by lawyers for one of the people that you love in this courtroom, were you asked about your conditions prior to signing the plea agreement that you signed on December 28th, 2022?
could you repeat that?
Yes. On cross-examination last week, do you recall being asked about conditions you endured before signing the plea agreement that you signed on December 28th, 2022?
Yes,
Do you recall being asked if you felt pressure to sign that plea agreement?
yes, I think so.
Do you recall being asked whether you felt intimidated to sign that plea agreement?
I don't call that one.
I'll ask you, were you intimidated by the state into signing that plea agreement?
Was I intimidated?
Were you intimidated?
I wouldn't say I was intimidated, I was basically like, I just feel like it was forced on me at the time. I wasn't intimidated by it.
It was forced on you. We're going to come back to that word force, okay?
Yeah.
Do you recall on direct examination when I was asking you questions, do you recall you first mentioning something about the fact that your mom, unfortunately, had become ill? Do you remember that?
Yes,
Do you recall telling me not to speak on her?
I said I didn't want to talk about her.
Do you recall Mr. Steele asking you about her multiple times?
Yes,
Did you have any problem with him talking about her?
no, because me and my lawyer had discussed, don't even get frustrated about it.
So is your testimony that you didn't mind Mr. Steele talking about it because you had had a conversation with your lawyer about that?
Yes, he just told me to stay focused and
Okay.
even with you, he just said, stay focused and answer the questions.
And tell the truth?
Yes,
All right. When you say you felt forced, would you please tell the jury who it was that forced you to sign, or who you felt forced you, if anyone in particular, to sign anything on December 28, 2022?
I would say the state, because when I addressed it and tried to change situations, they wouldn't change them, so.
And it's still your testimony, is it still your testimony that there were things that you wanted changed that you did not get changed? Is that still your testimony?
Yes, Ms.
Objection
Lewis.
asked and answered.
Oh,
Overruled.
is it still your testimony
If he answered
that
it,
there were
while we're going through
things
this
you wanted
again, Judge.
changed in this plea agreement that you did not get changed?
Judge, Your Honor, could I talk to my lawyer about that?
You may.
Okay.
All right, let's just take a recess.
Well, damn.
And can somebody let me know when he's back from talking to his lawyer? Thank you. Yes, Judge. Appreciate it.
Judge said, I'm walking off too. Fuck this shit.
Vote with your attorney. Is your attorney the only person? Mr. Sledge, have you had enough time to speak with your attorney?
Yes,
Okay, we
During the
almost
time that you
2
spoke with
hours
your
into
attorney, is your
this
attorney the only
8.5
person
hour
you spoke with?
video.
Did you speak with any
All
member
right,
of the
then.
state this weekend?
this weekend,
Yes.
They cooking.
Did you have an opportunity to speak with your attorney this weekend?
ma'am didn't talk, but
Okay. All right. So did you testify on cross-examination last week that there were portions of the plea agreement that you signed that you asked the state to
I'm gonna talk
change,
about my mama, Miss Lou.
but that the state refused to change?
no, what I said, yes, but they changed certain things, but it still was things that I had a problem with. From my awareness, once if you call me to the stand, that I would be able to explain the things that they didn't change.
Do you recall when I first asked you questions on direct about the April 2015 drive-by shooting that you, the April 28, 2015 drive-by shooting? Do you recall when I asked you about that on direct?
Yes.
Do you recall you told me you did that in your best interest?
Could you repeat that? You lost me right now.
Do you remember saying that was in my best interest when I asked you if you pled guilty to the shooting on April 28, 2015?
Yes.
And do you remember saying that I did that because it was in my best interest multiple times? Do you remember saying that?
You said that I took the plea in my best interest?
My question is, do you remember?
I don't recall.
Damn. Overcall.
Mrs. Sledge,
Okay.
do you remember us talking about your 2015, April 28, 2015 shooting and that subsequent plea last week? You and me, not anybody else, while you've been on the stand.
You said the 28th drive-by shoot?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. And do you remember I asked you whether you pled guilty to that? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember you told the jury, do you remember telling the jury, well, I did it in my best interest? And this is not a trick question, I promise you.
Yes.
All right. And do you remember you said that more than once? I did that in my best interest.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And when you say in your best interest, are you familiar with what is known as an Alford plea?
No, I don't really know what an Alford plea really mean. I just was saying that I pleaded guilty in my best interest.
And when you say that you pleaded guilty in your best interest, what do you understand that to mean as opposed to just flat out pleading guilty?
Could you repeat it?
I can't.
Because that was kind of tricky.
So if you enter just a regular old guilty plea and someone asks you, did you plead guilty? Would it be unusual for you to just say yes? I pled guilty?
Anything I plead guilty to, I feel like it's in my best interest to plead guilty to.
That plea that you entered in 2017, especially, there was a special designation to it though, right? It was an Alford plea, wasn't it?
I didn't know it was an Alford plea.
When you entered the plea that you entered on December the 28th, 2022,
You shouldn't have said you didn't
did you
know it
recognize
wasn't one.
the prosecutor asking you questions as the same one talking to you here right now, me?
Yes.
All right.
Why isn't
And
the
did you
defense
recognize the
objection
prosecutor
to
at the
any of
table with
this?
me as the same one I have my left hand on now, Ms. Hilton?
She wasn't in the courtroom when you did the plea. She went somewhere.
Okay. All right. So we see the video, but we see Ms. Hilton's lovely face. You'll recognize Ms. Hilton as having been in the courtroom?
I don't remember seeing her here too.
She was
That's
in
fair
there. I remember seeing
Do
her
you
with the
remember seeing a
blowout.
judge who looked a little different than the one on the stand now?
Yes.
What does all these
Do you remember
questions-
seeing
What the fuck does
your
this have
attorney,
to do
Mr.
with
Wright, there
anything?
sitting with you?
Yes.
Is that the same attorney that you had in 2015?
I don't think I got arrested in 2015, but if I would, he would have been the one to do the case.
Did you testify on direct examination that Mr. Wright has been your attorney for 15 years?
Yes.
Could you tell the jury when Mr. Wright first started representing you in criminal matters?
It would have been before
I want to say like 08,
2015.
09, something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you tell the jury on cross-examination that Mr. Wright is someone that you trust?
Yes,
Did you tell the jury on cross-examination that Mr. Wright is someone whose advice and counsel you take seriously?
But she
I
sound
don't
like
say it like that. You put it in that word.
Would you just tell the jury right now then, how it is you feel about the lawyer who's represented you for the last 15 years?
He been great.
how you feel about him.
He been great to me.
And Judge, you allowed that? Judge, why would you allow that question? And it's obvious if the man has been representing him since 08 or 09, and he's still representing him currently on this trial. Apparently, he likes the services he's received. And you allowed that question to be asked. It's clear that if he didn't like the man, he wouldn't be his lawyer today. If he felt like he got fucked over in the plea agreement, he wouldn't still be his lawyer today. You ain't playing fair, Judge.
And he was in the room with you when you entered the plea on December 28, 2022?
Yes,
Is this the first time you had to testify at a criminal trial?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Do you understand that you are now in a witness box testifying in a criminal trial under oath?
This is my first time knowing that I was a witness to testify up on the oath.
All right. So this is the first time that you testified in a criminal trial. Is that fair to say?
I don't say it's probably not my first time, but me knowing that I was going to be called as a witness, yeah, this is my first time.
All right.
So you didn't know the other time? How the hell did this go about?
Do you remember being asked on
That don't
cross-examination
even make sense.
by either
First time I knew I
Mr.
was gonna have
Sharp
to testify.
or Mr. Steele,
Don't they always have to
Believe it was Mr.
notify
Sharp.
the witnesses?
your friend Shannon's lawyer, whether you,
I think she's just trying to get clear who it is. And we don't need a commentary.
yes, Your Honor. Do you know who represents your friend Shannon?
Yes, I've been sitting in the courtroom like everyone else.
Which person do you recognize as representing defendant Stillwell?
Mr. Short.
All right. So do you remember Mr. Sharp asking you if on December 28, 2022, you found yourself between a rock and a hard place?
Yes.
And what did you answer to him regarding December 28, 2022?
What did I say?
Yeah, what was your answer to that
I
question?
said yes.
And would you tell the jury what the rock was and what the hard place was?
The rock was the situation I was in the wrong place my mother was in.
And when you say the situation you were in?
Incarcerated. And
All right. And hopefully, is your mom doing,
no, she deceased.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
So did your being in,
So you as the prosecutor, you didn't know this man's mom had died. You didn't know this. Even when he told you not to, he didn't want to talk about her. You didn't have your people look to see if she was deceased so you wouldn't make yourself look like an ass and say, hopefully she's doing better. And him having to tell you she deceased, that was done purposefully.
Fulton County Jail have any bearing on your decision to enter that plea that you entered on December 28, 2022?
Being in Fulton County Jail and away from my mother.
All right. Which one had the biggest bearing?
Being away from my mother.
All right. So being in Fulton County Jail wasn't a big factor in your entering that plea?
Objection, mischaracterized. This is.
I'm asking a question.
I didn't hear them both at the same time, so.
I'll rephrase.
All right, she's gonna rephrase.
Mr. Sledge, was being confined in the Fulton County Jail a large factor in your deciding to enter a guilty plea on December 28, 2022?
Yes, it was, but my mother was bigger.
Man, why is her direct as long as her original question.
Is there any reason why during the plea colloquy that the jury heard on Friday, that was
They
played
did their cross-examinations quick as hell.
like
She's
Monday,
still going.
last Friday actually, that was played at the end of the state's direct? Is there any reason, or rather, let me ask you, did you ever hold up your hand and tell the court you wanted to make some clarifications?
No, I would have directed it to my lawyer, and whatever you did, but what I wanted, you wouldn't. You didn't do everything I wanted, which I say.
You were asked by Mr. Steele, your friend, Mr. Williams' attorney, whether or not the state ever sat down and met with you. Do you remember being asked whether the state ever sat down before the June meeting and before you entered that plea agreement and met with you? Do you remember him asking you that?
Yes.
Did the state ever sit down and meet with you?
No.
Did you ever agree to sit down and meet with the state?
I can't agree if the state don't come to me and ask me.
Do you, or has your attorney, or do you have any understanding that the state can't come to you except through your attorney?
No, I didn't know that.
Did you ever have an understanding that the state wanted to talk to you before you signed the plea agreement on December 28, 2022?
No.
Did you ever ask your attorney for an opportunity to speak with the state?
No, I never asked him to speak to the state.
Why not?
I don't know. I can't tell you that. I never asked him to speak with you because that's his job. That ain't my job. That's why I hired him.
Was there anything about the state that made you feel you couldn't speak with the state if you wanted to?
No, but if they would have came to me and asked me to speak with them, with that plea agreement was on there, I would have told them the same thing I told him when I took it. Like, that ain't right.
Now, when we speak about the state, is your understanding that that means only the district attorney's office? Or do you consider the state the police as well?
I just thought all y'all work together. I don't know. They put you in jail, you put you in jail if you have to. So I don't know. Y'all both doing y'all job, I guess.
And so when police spoke with you back in 2015, did you consider them the state as well?
I don't know. I think y'all work in two different departments.
You're right.
Because I don't see the state on the street locking people up. The police, I do.
Okay. So when you spoke with the police back in 2015, did you tell the police any of those things that you told your friend, Defendant Williams' attorney, and your friend, Defendant Stillwell's attorney, when they asked you questions on cross? Did you tell the police any of that stuff?
I don't think they asked me nothing like that. I don't recall them asking me nothing like that. You said the police?
Yes, sir.
I don't recall them asking me nothing like that when Mr. Steele asked me.
Do you recall Mr. Steele asking you about that drive-by shooting?
Oh, yes.
How does this help the jury convict her? Convict the clients, the defendants. How the fuck does any of these questions help prove it? Asking, did he feel like he took a bad deal from the state? How the fuck does that convict these people? How does that help you win, Miss Love? This is just stupid. And you wasted your time on redirect. The defense didn't ask him nothing that was damning. He didn't say nothing that was damning. That portion of the trial should have been done. You just want to keep talking to this nigga.
Do you recall the police asking you about that drive-by shooting?
Yes.
How much information did you give the police about that drive-by shooting?
I told the police it wasn't true.
Okay. Now, okay, so, and when I asked you on direct examination about that drive-by shooting, what did you tell me about that drive-by shooting?
I don't recall. You can refresh my memory.
Do you recall me asking you what you did before that shooting?
I don't recall it, though.
Do you recall me asking you how did that shooting happen?
Why does it matter?
Yes, the answer.
All the above.
I can show you. I can. Go ahead.
Overruled.
Overruled?
Thank you, Judge. Do you recall me asking you what led to that shooting?
You're not being fair, Judge.
Do you recall telling me on the stand, or actually telling the jury, because it's not me. Do you recall telling the jury when I asked you on direct that you just went to pick up Mr. Garlington from the club, or that Mr. Garlington had gotten jumped on?
I think I told you I went back and got him from the club. That's what I told you.
And do you recall telling the jury when I asked you questions that you didn't see anybody who jumped on Mr. Garlington?
I told you I didn't know anyone that jumped on Mr. Garlington. The same thing I told them on cross. I didn't know exactly who it was that jumped on.
Did you tell the jury on direct with questioning by me that you didn't see the faces of anyone who jumped on Mr. Garlington?
Yes.
And did you tell the jury that you didn't see the faces of anyone that you may have interacted with during that time?
Yes, sir.
Chapter 4-3, waste of time.
That ain't say it's a waste of time. I'm objecting on this is a waste of time.
Yes.
Your Honor.
Yes. Your Honor, Mr. Steele cross-examined the witness on this very topic. I believe that it is necessary to orient the witness to the questions I asked before I get into the questions that I want to ask him about what he told Mr. Steele, number one. So it's not a 403 waste of time in any way.
It is a 403
and
waste of time.
I believe that he made a second objection I'd like to respond to, but I can't remember what it was. It was kind of long. And leading, Your Honor, suggests an answer, and it does not consist of questions that simply require yes or no response.
So, I'll give you a little leeway, but go ahead and get to what you actually want to get to.
Do you recall telling the jury when I asked you about the drive-by shooting that you never saw a shooting?
I don't recall.
Do you recall telling the jury when I asked you about the drive-by shooting that you just dropped off Demekion and Quindarius and you went on your merry way?
I don't think I said I went on my merry way.
You didn't use merry, that's my words.
Okay, but I remember
Just
exactly
went
what
on.
you said. I ain't saying I went on and directly left the scene, but I didn't actually witness them shoot the gun. That's what I said.
Is it your testimony today that on direct examination, you did not tell the jury that you dropped off Quindarius Zachary and Demekion Garlington and left and don't know what they did after you left?
I don't recall it.
Do you recall me asking you about another house getting shot up on Drew Drive after the house on Adele getting shot up?
I don't know in where article. I don't know the addresses.
Do you recall me asking you about whether you saw or participated
Objection.
in any other
Another
house getting shot up other
403
than the
waste
house
of
off
time.
MLK on Adele Drive? Do you recall me asking you that?
I don't recall.
So do you not recall as well telling me that you didn't see any house get shot up?
I don't recall me telling you that I seen house get shot. I don't recall.
Now, what I just heard you say is, I don't recall,
Me telling you,
you don't recall you telling me what, sir?
I just don't recall, Ms. Rose. I don't recall.
What is it that you don't recall? I'm sorry, I need the jury to know.
I don't recall.
What don't you recall?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
He don't recall what he don't
so
recall.
much, it's like, I don't even remember a lot of stuff you said.
He don't recall what he don't
Is it that you don't
recall.
recall telling the jury you did not see
Dang.
any houses getting shot up on April 28, 2015?
I don't recall.
Okay, today, do you recall seeing any houses getting shot up on April 28, 2015?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What I'm saying, I didn't see. I'm not saying that I didn't know no shooting was gonna happen, but what I'm saying is, I didn't like personally witness the house that you said that Quindarius Zachary and Garlington shot up. I didn't witness that.
I appreciate that clarification. That's not my question. I'm asking you today to tell this jury whether you recall today seeing any houses, since it's me talking to you, whether you recall any houses getting shot up. Do you recall seeing
Since
any
it's me
houses getting
talking
shot
to you,
up
what the fuck?
on April 28, 2015? No, overruled.
So he just told you about the one house. So are you asking about any others?
Yes, I am.
So ask it that way.
Yeah, you gotta tell me directly what house you talking about, because when he cross-examined me,
That's not what she's asking.
Oh,
She's
okay.
asking any other houses besides that one.
well, I don't know the people that were shooting at the other house.
Did you see any houses getting shot up? Forget the address. I don't really care what address. Did you see any houses getting shot up on April 28th?
I just don't think that's an appropriate question.
Okay, well, that's not for you to decide.
Good
So
job.
let's go to the
Good job, defendant.
Go ahead and
That's
answer the
not
question.
appropriate.
Yeah,
You did see some houses getting shot up.
not houses. Now you put more than one. It was one house that I probably seen.
Okay. Tell the jury what house you probably seen get shot up April 28th, 2015.
I think it was.
I don't
I don't
recall.
even think it was a house. It was an apartment. If
Tell
I'm
the
not
jury.
mistaken.
Tell the jury what apartment you saw. You
I
probably
don't know the name of the apartment.
What can you tell the jury about the apartment?
Where I was dropping Quindary, I'm exactly off it. That's the one I can tell you about.
So, on Friday, when
Oh, he
you
just snitched on him.
talked about dropping off Demekion and Quindarius,
He just snitched.
weren't you dropping them? Were you dropping them off at the house off
He
MLK
shot
or
up.
Adele Drive, or was there a different address you were dropping them off at?
I was drunk as love. I don't remember which one it was.
Did your memory come back while you were being asked the same question by Mr. Steele?
No,
Do you remember telling Mr. Steele a whole bunch of stuff
I
about?
don't think Mr. Steele was the one cross-examining me on that.
Who do you believe was cross-examining?
I think it was Mr. Short, not Mr. Steele.
Okay, let's go with that for a moment. Do you remember telling Mr. Sharp then details about houses that you saw getting shot up on April 28, 2015?
I didn't go there.
Your Honor, I object. I object
Okay, well, can't object to the objection.
to the speaking portion.
All right, so I think if she's asking him, if you need to approach, let's approach.
Yeah, because Max said you got me fucked up. You gonna put some respect on my name. And
Yeah,
that's
the
fucked
court
up. Your witness gotta tell you that's not Mr. Steele and who was talking to me asking these questions, man. How the fuck he remember and you don't? And you get paid for this shit. Everybody done walk their ass to the bench. Get them, Max. Get their ass. Get them. The defense keep putting a dude there. It was an older white guy at first. They keep swapping out who gonna be there, but I noticed they keep having a male at the table. One man with the two women. The bailiff got on suspenders. He wobbling
Thank you,
and
Judge.
shit.
Mr. Sledge, please tell the jury what you remember today, everything you remember happening with respect to April 28th, 2015, from the time you picked up Mr. Garlington.
Love, I've been there 4 days, just I don't know how many hours. I can't remember all that stuff, so I don't recall.
No, she's not asking you what you remember testifying to. She's just asking you what you remember about that night.
I don't recall.
When did your memory about it leave you?
Today.
I can't answer that question for you, but
I'm sorry?
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Did you remember it when you were asked questions by Mr. Sharp?
No.
Mr. Sledge, please answer the question.
She walking back and forth.
You do not recall whether you remembered April 28th when you were asked questions by Mr. Sharp?
I don't recall.
When you were entering the plea agreement that you entered on December 28th, 2022, did you ever stop and ask the judge or tell the judge you wanted to clarify anything?
No, because I thought my lawyer had already did that.
And when you
He finna
heard
yell at
the
her.
state
I feel it
read
coming.
out factual acknowledgments and ask you if they were true and correct, did you ever indicate part of them are true, but part of them are not?
I didn't think I could speak that in court.
Why did you think you could not speak it in court?
Because I ain't thinking like I could just burst out and say that while the judge reading, while you was reading out, because the judge didn't read it out. I ain't think I could do that. That was never explained.
Between December 28th, 2022 and last week, did someone tell you you could burst out while the state was reading something?
No,
Interrupt?
no.
So last week when I was asking you questions and you told the judge I gave you a headache and made your blood pressure go up, You felt comfortable enough? Did you feel comfortable enough to do that?
Because I'm on the stand trying to explain. When you sit back there, you ain't explaining. But when you sit on this side, you call me here to tell my truth and my understanding. And that's what I'm giving you. I can't give you nothing else. I'm only giving you my truth.
Okay. And so when you were sitting at the table next to your lawyer, did you feel more or less comfortable about giving your truth?
I don't recall.
Do you want to answer the question?
I just answered.
No, I'm asking you, do you want to
I
answer?
want to answer any question that you got for me, but if I don't remember, I don't remember.
And so what is it that you don't recall about being at the table with your lawyer?
I just don't recall it, though. I ain't trying to give you a hard time. But it looked like you're trying to give me a hard time.
Mr. Sledge, would you tell the jury, as between when you were in court on December 28th, 2022, and when you have been in court for the last 4 days, if there is anything different about parties in the courtroom that you can point out?
No.
So everyone here in the courtroom was in the courtroom with you on December 28th, 2022.
When you said
Relevance.
Your Honor, it goes to changes.
Overruled.
What the fuck?
Were each of the people now in the courtroom today?
What don't she overrule?
And yes.
No. They is arguing their ass off. Skip it. Skip it good. You must skip it. Hey, we had 2.5 hours of 8.5. If we ain't had lunch yet, that's gonna knock off an hour. They cooking, kind of. It's the magic of TV. You must whip it.
Just 1 second. Mr. Sledge, would you please tell the jury who is in the courtroom with you today that was not in the courtroom with you on December 28, 2022?
Could you repeat it?
Can you rephrase that? Because that's going to be a whole lot of people. Just get to the point that you want to ask.
Yes.
She got frustrated
you already
with the
said I was
judge and
here.
threw her hand up.
Was there a court reporter here in the courtroom? Not this one, but a court reporter.
I think so.
Were there deputies?
I think so.
Were there DA investigators?
Come
I
on,
think, yes.
bro.
Obviously, you said your lawyer was here?
Yes.
All right. Was your friend Shannon here?
If you're trying to get to the point.
Mr. Sledge, I'm not trying to get to anything, and I really do need you to just answer the question.
Listen,
So if you could please, Your Honor, if the court would instruct the witness to answer the question,
Listen to the question and answer the question.
And then you can
asked, and then you may explain it.
I would ask
Thank
that
you.
you be allowed to complete his answer.
and Your Honor, since his answer was not responsive,
His answer was not responsive.
I'd ask that you
Re-ask the question.
Was your friend, Mr. Stillwell, here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
no,
Was your friend Defendant Williams here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
no,
Was your friend Defendant Kendrick here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
no,
Was the lawyer for your friend, Mr. Williams, here in court with you on December 28, 2022?
no,
Was the lawyer for your
God
friend,
damn.
Mr. Stillwell, here in court with you on
We
December
get
28,
it.
2022?
no,
Was the lawyer for your friend, Mr. Kendrick, here
Objection.
in court with you?
We
on
get
December-
it. What the fuck?
Hold on a minute.
Objection. Being an annoying bitch.
In attendance at the time he took his plea.
Your Honor, overruled. Was the lawyer for your friend, Mr. Kendrick, here in court? with you
Judge,
on
what does that
December
have to do with
28,
anything? We get it.
2022? You can answer first, and I will.
This is like you saying Mr. Steele couldn't show all his videos and tweets. If he ain't allowed to go through all of, why in the fuck is she able to say was his lawyer and his lawyer? We get the point that you making. You trying to say the nigga is changing up his testimony because he there. Why do we have to go through all these names for her to still turn around and ask? That's what she finna hint at. This is crazy. Judge, you is not playing fair because I've been listening to you sustain. I've been listening to you since everything they objected to when the defense was still crossing. When this shit started today, you sustain. The day before that, you was fucking around, overruled it, and he was shocked because you just sustained every goddamn thing. He was like, overruled, good job. And she was like, no, my bad. That's how much you just allow everything to, every time the state objects, you have a 99.9% approval rating of saying, all right, I'm gonna sustain it when you do it. But on the other hand, the defense is getting that 0.1% of winning theirs, the state just winning on both sides. They win all their objections and the defense loses all of theirs. This is just not right. You acting like Glenville, but all y'all work together. If you work for Glenville, what the fuck? This is crazy in itself. Anybody that works for him is still allowed to be on this case.
But I need you to answer
No,
yes or no.
but could you stop yelling at me like I'm your child? I'm not your child.
Uh-oh.
Took his plea.
Your Honor, overruled. Was your lawyer,
Now,
wait, hold on, Mr.
Hang on.
Relevance to whether I was in attendance at the time he took his plea.
Your Honor, overruled. Was your lawyer, was the
Wow,
lawyer?
he objected to what's the relevance of you asking if me or any of these other lawyers were present when he took his plea. And I have to agree. If she's saying that he's intimidated because his friends are there, what the fuck do the lawyers have to do with it? The lawyers aren't intimidating to him. It would be his friends, the ones he called friends who he told on in essence. I agree with the what's the relevance of the lawyers and the judge that said fuck it, overruled. What's the relevance though, Judge? Lawyers aren't intimidated.
Mr. Kendrick here in court with you on December 28th, 2022. You can answer first and I will let you explain, but I need you to answer
No,
yes or no.
but could you stop yelling at me like I'm your child? I'm not your child.
You are not.
You talking aggressive to me. You don't intimidate me. All them guys over here. So if you would have came to me and asked me that, I'd have told you the same thing. What if they was in my face or not in my face? I'm not scared of them, are you?
I don't want you to be.
Well, that's what you acting like. That's what you
Okay.
acting like you're trying to
So
punish.
do you want me to bring my voice down? And I apologize if
Don't
it
holler at
sounds
me,
like
I ain't
you
your
know.
child. Can I take a break? Y'all come.
Yeah, we've had so many breaks this
Yeah,
morning. We
cause
really need to
I'm-
get through this.
Overruled.
All right. So, Mr.
Overruled
Sledge,
on your break, nigga. Testify.
was either Quay that
Stop hollering at me, Miss Love. I'm live, sir.
Say,
I'm live.
you know,
I'm
you're live, my bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
they can hear you. Say hey.
So what?
They can hear you. Say hey.
What's good? What's good, everybody? So this how it feels when you call somebody already live.
Yes. Yes.
I do it all the time. What's the topic today?
I'm the YSL trial. I'm trying to get caught up on the testimony.
Oh, yeah, okay. I ain't too hip to that. So yeah, when you get a chance, man, hit me back. Hello, everybody, and I'm ready to do the what you asked for now.
All right. Say less.
Yeah.
All right. Chillo. Oh, I'm bad.
in the courtroom with you on December 28th, 2022?
No,
Was Lil Rod in the courtroom with you on December 28th, 2022?
get to the point. No,
Damn, we told her to get to her
Was
point.
Lil Rod in the courtroom with you on December 28th, 2022?
get to the point. No,
That is my point.
your point is
Okay.
pointless.
Was the lawyer for Mr. Huey Quay in court with you on December 28th,
Damn, and the
2022?
judge is allowing
Was the
this.
lawyer for Cornarius Nichols in court with you on December 28th, 2022?
No,
Was the lawyer for Little,
She is going down all 27 niggas that was on the indictment that had taken pleas. This is ridiculous. It seems like she know all these niggas by heart. She enjoyed getting convictions on all these people. I ain't mad at it. It's her job, but she sound like she enjoyed it. She does sound like she's proud of her work.
in court with you on December 28th, 2022? I
don't know if that's been asked and answered or not.
It was not.
Okay, we'll go back.
Come on, Judge.
Was the lawyer for
No.
Little Rod?
no,
He did answer. He said, get to your point. He said, no, your point is pointless. Because she said that is my point. Judge, what the fuck you up there doing? Talking about you can't recall.
On
Man,
cross-examination, defendant Stillwell's attorney, Mr. Sharp, asked you
It's your
about
job. You
shell
paying
kelp
attention.
and trivia. Do you remember that?
I don't recall.
When did you lose recollection of what happened 3 days ago?
I don't recall.
Are all of your answers to every question I ask from now on going to be, I don't recall?
Yes.
Why?
Because
I don't recall.
And what caused you to lose your memory?
I can't remember.
Now he's starting to be entertaining. Yes, now he is with the shit. Man. I'm just gonna give you, I don't recall every motherfucking time. Call me Lil Woody too.
I ask from now on going to be, I don't recall.
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't recall.
And what caused you to lose your memory?
You put so much pressure on my brain, I don't forgot everything. I can't remember all this stuff that been asked to me for the last 4 days. It's like, it's confusing. So I'm not, like you said, I completed the 9th grade. I'm not that intelligent to be remembering all this stuff that you keep asking me. My brain
Shit, he played the slow card. He played the slow card. He's like, wait, I'm stupid, man. You confusing me. I'm not hard to confuse at a 9th grade education, and you just constantly fucking with me. I am supposed to be your star witness, and this is how you treat me. No, I don't recall nothing until you're nicer, man. You need to change the tone in your voice.
Everyone, I might need to go see somebody out this court time.
Mr. Sledge, did you have any problem at all understanding the questions asked to you about Brian Steele?
I don't recall.
I don't recall.
Did you lose your memory at any point with Mr. Steele?
She talking low now.
He wasn't pressuring me like you. He was helping me. He was explaining to me, breaking down. But it seemed like.
I appreciate what you're saying. I'm going to respond to that.
Objection.
Mr.
Witness should be allowed to answer the question.
Were you finished with your answer?
No, she cut me off.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I said, Mr. Steele was explaining to me, he wasn't pressuring me, but every time it seems like I'm getting up there with you, I'm giving you my truth, and you still trying to pressure me to say something you want me to say when I'm giving you the truth that I know.
Mr. Sledge.
You don't get to respond, ma'am. Your job is to ask motherfucking questions. You don't get to respond to what he said. Badgering the witness, Your Honor. Objection.
Understand that there's a difference between the way that a prosecutor can ask you questions and the way that a defense attorney can ask you questions?
No.
Do you understand that I cannot lead you when I'm asking you questions?
Sustained.
When you say that there's a difference between the way that Mr. Steele asks you questions and the way that I ask you questions, would you help me understand what that difference is so that
You ask your questions bitchy, ma'am. You mean when you ask your questions. You sound like you said somebody's mama. You are aware, right? And did you, and was she? Like, damn, why you gotta be so mean?
ask you questions in a way that does not frustrate you?
Oh, well, and he kind of has told you.
What you gonna do, Judge? You was about to overrule, but then you stopped and said, well, he kind of has told you, like, motherfucker, stop yelling at me, I ain't your child. So is it sustained or overruled, Your Honor? We need to know.
She said, you overruled.
Ask your next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So will you help me break things down a little bit so that I'm not frustrating you, okay?
You already have.
I understand.
I don't need it.
Can we rewind?
No.
No.
All right.
He said, no, we can't start over. You little Grinch, you. She like, fuck.
When you were asked about Intrivia, was Shell Kell the person you said who had also started a relationship with Intrivia after you?
I don't recall.
What is confrontational about that question?
I just don't recall.
Why don't you recall?
Because you pressured me, I don't recall. You heard my brain.
All right, so let's take an early lunch.
Wait a minute, the judge was like, I'm sick of this shit.
Pressure me, I don't recall. You heard my brain.
All right, so let's take an early lunch.
Good job,
and
Judge.
you can calm down in the meantime. hopefully, and then we will come back.
Hopefully.
Let's see, it's almost 11:15. Let's come back at 12:30.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Man, that nigga said you hurt my brain, Miss Love. Like fuck all that dumb shit. My brain is hurting. Okay, I'm sliding the ball, sliding the ball, sliding the ball. That was late coming back from lunch. Yeah, 4 hours.
Thank you, Your Honor.
7 minutes now.
Mr. Sledge, did you have a good lunch?
Yes,
All right, good deal. All right. And is your head feeling a little bit better?
a lot better.
All right, good deal.
He went and
Mr.
got-
Sledge,
he went and
I
got
want to
high
just,
on break.
and Judge, if I broach an area that the court has told me to move from, I'll quickly move from it. Mr. Sledge, are you able to tell me what you remember about April 28th, 2015? What happened on that day? Everything you can remember today.
Do you want him to tell you about the entire day? You don't, do you?
I don't, and so the judge is helping me out a little bit. So,
You cheating,
starting
Judge.
from the point where you learned about Mr. Darlington getting jumped at the club, will you tell the jury, not the judge, the jury, everything you remember about it? Is that all right?
Yeah, I guess
Okay, thank you.
from my understanding, like he got jumped out of the club, then I left the club, he called me back. We went and picked up Gunner. I want to say Zachary, and then we went, I don't know the name of the apartments.
Okay,
And then I want to say we traveled back down, traveled back around. Is that?
I didn't hear you.
I said once we went to the apartments and then we went back to the house. I think that's what I said.
Take your time, and you do not have to, I'm not trying to get you to match up anything.
I asked her a lot. It's been long for that, Miss Lord. So
It's okay. Take your time.
if you have any time you can refresh my memory. But right now, I don't recall.
All right,
Try my best.
and that's all I'll ask, okay?
Yes.
So I'm not gonna try and trip you up. I just wanted whatever you remember today in terms of.
All right, I have to ask the next question.
Okay, all right. Do you remember whether you went to the house first or to the apartment first?
I don't remember. I can't exactly tell you, but I don't recall exactly how it went.
Okay, and the house that we're talking about, is that the one off near MLK, off Adele?
I want to say that's the only house I remember going to. I don't
Okay.
remember.
And where were the apartments that you remember going to?
I don't remember exactly what it was. I just know they was in a gated area. I don't think they had a gate when you gotta go through the gate. That's all I remember.
Do you remember whose they were? Whose apartments they were? Like, why were y'all going there?
I think I was supposed to be dropping Zachary off.
Okay. Did his girlfriend live there?
I don't think she stayed there, but she was there.
All right. Now, was there any shootings that went on there? Did you see somebody else shooting or anything happening there?
Yes, I think that's what it was. They was shooting when we pulled up.
Okay. Now, I know you don't get scared easily, but did you consider that sort of a startling sight to see somebody shooting at the apartment?
For me, it was normal. So I can't speak for no one else, but
Fair
for
enough.
my stuff, it was normal.
All right. And were they shooting at apartments that you were sending or taking Mr. Zachary to?
I don't know if it was the exact apartment, but it was right there in that area.
All right. Now, in terms of shooting, how could you tell the jury, because they weren't there? Do you see guns pointing out a window or just like fire flashes? What is it that
I just seen the fire flashes.
Okay. And were you right up on the car, or were you like coming in the gate and you saw fire flashes from like across the
I pulled
street?
directly in front of the car and then I passed that.
Okay. When you pulled directly in front of it, had the shooting begun already?
No, they was doing it.
Okay. Did you realize they were doing it when you pulled directly in front of it?
No, it's like when we got there, then it started happening.
Okay. Okay, so for people who aren't you, that might have been considered a little scary. So what did you do when you heard the shooting behind you going on?
I backed out.
Okay. Did you back out and like quickly leave?
No, I got back to safety.
Okay. And where were Mr. Garlington and Mr. Zachary when you did that? Did they run inside, stay with you?
No, they got out the car.
And did you see what happened?
No, I was around the building, so I didn't really get out the car to see what was going on, but I passed up behind the people.
Okay. Did you have to pull around the car to get in front of it? Or did you?
No, it's a straight shot. It's just a straight shot through the button.
Okay, so is it fair, did the car pull up behind you then?
Which mean?
Did I understand you to say that you ended up in front of the car that was shooting?
That mean they was probably back in, facing like coming out, and I'm coming in.
I gotcha. Okay. Did you notice what kind of car it was?
No.
Right. And did you have a belief as to who it was that was in that car?
I didn't know who it was.
Okay. Did you later form a belief as to who it was that was in that car?
No, I don't recall.
All right. Did you all do anything based on who y'all believe might have been in the car?
I already answered that question. I answered that question 2 days ago when I told you about it.
Okay. Forgive me. I had a long weekend. Could you tell me what you all did based on what you all believed or who you all believe was in that car? There's nothing more that happened as a result of it, I promise.
I don't know who was in the car. At the time, I didn't know who was in the car. I still don't know if that was true, what was told to me. So.
All right. And that was told to you by Mr. Zachary or somebody else?
Well, it was told by other people too. So.
Okay. Other people that were there with you?
In the street, in the streets. Like when things happen, to be talked about in the streets.
Okay. Did you all react immediately or did it take a few days or something different?
I don't know. I can't really tell you because I told you I'm behind a building, so I couldn't actually see what was going on.
All right. Okay. At any point, did you think that Ifgang was involved in that?
I don't know because I told you from the night that he got jumped on. I didn't even see who jumped on him.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't recall. I can't say that.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not asking if they were. I'm just. Judge, may I be allowed to ask the question? Yep. Thank you. I'm just asking you at any point if you believe they were, not whether you know, not whether they were, just at any point.
No, I don't believe. I don't believe.
All right.
Hit the cash out. Hit the paper.
Now, we talked last week about
Hit the super chat.
Antrevia Smith,
Now.
and you talked a little bit about that on cross-examination, your relationship with Ms. Smith. The Kelvin Watts who started dating Ms. Smith after you did, was that the same Kelvin Watts that had a beef with Kenneth Copeland?
I don't really know if him and Kenneth Copeland had a beef or not.
Okay. So did you ever learn or did you ever discuss any kind of beef that Kenneth Copeland had with Kelvin Watts?
I don't recall if we ever discussed this phone call.
Okay. But is it fair to say that, let me ask you a better question so I'm not leaving. Is it Kelvin Watts that started dating Ms. Smith after you did? Was he also called Shell Ko?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And do you know if Shell Ko, did you consider him having any family relationship to Donovan Thomas Jr.?
I never knew there was, how long I've been knowing Donovan Thomas, I never knew they had any relationship.
All right. How long did you say you knew Shell Ko? If you said it already, forgive me.
I don't know. He went outside when I was outside. He probably came outside. I started hearing about his name in 2015. Before then, I never knew him.
Okay. When you say came outside, help me and the jury know what you mean.
Whenever he started hanging outside, I ain't know him before then.
So based on that answer, did he start hanging outside around 2015?
I don't know, Ms. Love. I'm saying that's when I started hearing his name in the street. Other than that, I don't know.
All right. When you heard his name in the street, did you hear his name associated with Ifgang, sir?
No, not when I first started hearing his name.
At any point later on, did you hear his name associated with Ifgang?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
All right. Now, do you remember whether that was after 2015, like 2016, 17, or during about 2015?
I don't really recall because it was late. It probably late in 2015, but I don't know.
All right. All right. Now, you were shown some dates in a book by Mr. Williams' attorney. I'm going to approach you with the court's permission and with your permission. Is that all right? All right. So, did you testify, or a better question is, did you participate in every performance in 2015
Okay, I remember hearing
that
this portion.
the Travis Scott rodeo tour included?
No.
All right. And do you remember when Mr. Steele was up here reading these dates to you and you were saying, yeah, you see them on the page?
Yes.
All right. Now, would you tell the jury if these dates are dates that you were actually at the location indicated, on this piece of paper?
Yeah, most of them.
Okay. Are you able, as we sit here now, to tell the jury, just, you can point them out and then read them out after you do, the dates that
I
you
don't
did
have to
go
go through
to?
all the dates. I know exactly what day that I left that tour.
Okay,
I don't know the exact date, but I know which state I was in.
fair enough. So did the tour did not start until after January 10, 2015. Is that right or wrong?
That might be right.
Okay. Do you know of any tour date on this tour that you were talking about with Travis Scott that started before February 28, 2015?
I don't know the exact dates, at least I'm looking at the book.
Do you know of anything before February 28, 2015? Here, you can turn, however you want to look at it.
No, the first date say February 28, 2015.
Okay.
Yes.
And to your memory, is that the very first date of this Travis Scott tour?
Yes, from my home.
All right. Now, this tour, when we say Travis Scott tour, who was the headliner? Was Mr. Williams the main attraction, or was Mr. Scott or somebody else?
Mr. Scott was.
Okay. Now, was he a major performer? And you got to forgive me because I don't know Travis Scott. Okay.
Come on.
I'm not lying. I don't. Was he a major performer? I'm older than you believe, and you're gonna have to forgive me. Yeah.
Come on.
I'm dead serious.
Don't be mad at me if I'm laughing at you.
I'm not mad at you.
Just listen what I'm telling you.
Okay.
I know a lot of people know he's a big major artist.
Okay. All right. And is he a rapper, a singer, a musician, or something?
I think he do like, is it like rock or something like that? I don't really know.
Okay. All right. So he's a big performer. And did you go on that very first tour date on Saturday, February 28, 2015, that's listed on the book?
I just told you yes.
Thank you. Were you head of security for Defendant Williams on that day?
I want to say, I don't recall if I was or not, was I head of security, but I did a lot of different things on it too.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. Now was that in Santa Ana, California?
Yes, that's what the book was in.
All right. And is that your independent recollection, apart from what the book says?
I don't really remember. I could just go by the booklet and know the actual day and what state it was in.
Okay. And so does looking at the booklet make you remember, or are you just relying on the booklet to be right?
I knew the booklet was right. I had one myself.
Okay.
In that time.
All right. Do you remember who else within YSL went on this tour?
It was a lot of us. I don't recall everybody who was there.
Was it? I'm sorry.
It was multiples, so I don't recall everybody who was there.
Was that the first time you had gone to Santa Ana, California?
Maybe not, but
okay.
with a major upcoming artist it was.
Now, were you all with YSL? Were you all like traveling with Mr. Scott, or were you all traveling separately? How did that work?
We traveled separate.
Okay.
Mr. Scott, not my friend.
Understood. When you got to the venue, wherever that was, did you all stay in the same location as Mr. Scott or separately?
I can't remember. They normally have different dress clothes, so I don't recall.
All right. And did you stay overnight, or did you all just perform and leave?
He performed and leave. At least he had to be there more than one day, so I don't know. If his booklet says 2 days, sometimes we stay 2-3 days in the same state. So you might go to Dallas, you might go to Houston, stuff like that. So.
And was Mr. Stillwell with y'all on this tour, February 28, 2015?
I think so.
What about Mr. Kendrick?
I think so.
All right. Anybody else in this courtroom that would have been with y'all then?
No.
All right. Now, March 1st, that's listed here. Did you go on that one too?
March 1st? Mm-hmm. I was there every day except the day that I told you that the state I remember that I went on.
Okay. So, are you able to say, just from memory, where or which ones you remember performances occurring at? I'll give you the.
I can't remember all that. All right. I don't recall all that.
All right. On the days that are listed as travel days, are you able to tell the jury if you all actually traveled on those days, or were there some days that you all traveled on different days?
Probably actually that day, because you had to be in another state before you perform. It was a time limit, so like we had to stay on the time limit.
Okay. Are you able to tell this jury with 100% certainty whether or not Mr. Williams performed at every show reflected on this tour schedule?
I can't say that because I got sent home on a certain date, so I didn't finish the whole tour, so I can't say that.
Okay.
I didn't see him perform, but I could until I got sent home, I seen him perform.
Without looking at the book, and I'm going to show you the book in a minute, but without looking at the book, are you able to say the date you went home?
I can't tell you the date. I remember what state it was.
Okay. Looking at the book, would that help you remember when you went home? And is that schedule just consist of that one page, or is it two?
Big one page. I remember right here.
I
got my finger pointed at it.
Okay. Can you read out the
date? It was Thursday, March 26, 2015.
Thank you. Are you able to tell the jury with 100% certainty whether on every tour day prior to Thursday, March 26, 2015, defendant Williams performed at every performance listed on this sheet of paper?
Not after that date, yeah, but that date, yes. That's the last show I was at.
What I'm asking is, before you got sent home, before you went home, right?
Every show day he performed.
Every show day?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recall who all was at the shows that he performed at every day before March 26, 2015?
No, I don't recall that.
After you got sent home, did you make any effort to follow what was going on as he toured?
No.
So when you got home, did you just kind of blank out and not listen to or anything?
I enjoyed myself with my family.
Okay. Did you speak with or talk to or communicate with defendant Williams or any other member of YSL who might have been touring with?
No, because I was trying to get family time in, so I didn't call and see what Mr. Williams had going on. I was more focused on my kids.
When you got sent home, would you tell the jury how it was that you were sent home, like by bus, train, plane, car?
Why is this important to the jury?
I requested that I was ready to go home, but I went by plane.
Oh, okay. Did you, was that request did that request have anything to do with your family? What happened?
No, I was just ready to get home and see my kids at the time.
Fair enough. Did anybody else leave at the same time you did on, was it March 26, 2015?
I don't recall who all left at certain time because everybody didn't leave and go the same way they kept on the plane.
Okay. Was defendant Stillwell still with Mr. Williams on this rodeo tour of Travis Scott's when you left? Do you remember?
I don't recall if Mr. Williams, Mr. Steele went home or he stayed on tour. I don't recall.
Do you have any memory about Mr. Kendrick, how long he stayed?
No, I believe Mr. Kendrick stayed the whole while. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Kendrick like a backup hype man or something at the time.
Was a backup hype man?
He was on stage with him performing.
Okay. Was Mr. Copeland with him? Do you know?
No, I don't remember Mr. Copeland.
What about Mr. Zachary?
I think Mr. Zachary had got sick. He went on way before.
Was Mr. Stevens with him?
I don't recall.
What about Mr. Garlington? Was he with them?
I don't recall.
So without me going down a list of people you don't recall, can you tell the jury if there's anybody else you recall being on this tour of Travis Scott's with you and other YSL people?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. DK, Walter Murphy, was he ever at any point on this tour?
I don't recall.
All right. Do you recall ever being on tour with Mr. Murphy?
I think I was at one point in time, but I don't recall when he left. I don't recall it.
Okay.
I won't say that he was never on this tour.
Yes, sir.
But I don't recall when he left on the tour.
Okay. Now, is this tour that you're just pointing to, is that the only tour that you've accompanied defendant Williams on as either head of security or something else, or is there any other tour that you can tell the jury that you were a part of?
From my understanding, what I know, I only know about two tours. I don't forgot what the second tour name was, but I was there.
All right. Was that after or before the one?
It was after.
Do you remember how long after?
It probably 2019, I want to say.
Okay. And was it in the States or was it like in other countries or something different?
We went to Atlanta, but it was different states. And I think like on the tour, he did go to another country at one time.
Say it for me one more time, sir.
I think he did go out the country on one of the dates. I just don't remember what date.
All right. Do you remember whether he was the headline by 2019?
Yes, he was headline.
Okay. And did he have other artists performing with him?
Yes, his artists.
All right. Besides people from YSL, like with this, he was performing with Travis Scott. Did he have some other people besides YSL performing
I
with him
don't
in
want to say the
2019?
guy. I don't remember the guy's name. It's Kelly, something like that. I think it's something like that. I don't want to use the term of what his race is, but his name Kelly or something like that.
Was he my race?
No,
Okay,
it was his race.
it was his race.
Since you want me to say it.
You're all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
All right. Was it Machine Gun Kelly?
That's what it is, Machine Gun.
Okay. All right.
I'm not familiar with all the rappers. But
Okay. But Mr. Williams was the top line and Machine Gun Kelly
Kelly was, yes.
with him. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, am I reading correctly that this rodeo tour lasted February 28, 2015 to April
She know
3rd?
who Machine Gun Kelly is, but she don't know who Travis Scott is.
2015?
That's what it's saying. The booklet, that's what it is.
And you can look on
Travis
other pages
Scott
if you
had-
need
I
to.
don't
Kelly
think-
McDonald.
I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the end of it.
Okay, so is it your memory that after April 3rd, 2015, where it says travel home, there was no more rodeo tour?
No more royalty.
Okay. When you work on the tour in 2019, do you have a rough estimation of how many places, how many cities y'all visited?
No, it was a lot.
Okay. And do you have any idea of who all within YSL would have accompanied you and Defendant Williams on that tour with Machine Gun Kelly?
I don't recall everybody who was with us this far.
That's fair enough, Mr. Sledge. Do you recall anybody though?
First I remember that, I know Mr. Kendrick was there.
Okay, okay. What about Mr. Stillwell, 2019?
I
Just
don't even remember what Mr. Steele was. No, I don't think, let me back up.
yes or no? Don't
Let me
tell
back,
me.
can I back up? I don't even think Mr. Kendrick was there. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I don't think Mr. Kendrick was there.
okay. Was Mr. Murphy there to your knowledge?
No, I don't recall.
All right. What about Mr. Zachary?
I don't recall.
And did you and Mr. Williams, y'all stay at the same hotel and things like that on that tour?
Yes, I was basically, everywhere you went, probably like, my room was like next to him, probably on the floor.
Okay. Now, when you talked about earlier knowing Mr. Williams' music, but you can't recall always songs, are you familiar about any YSL members that he talked about in his songs?
I don't recall. You got anything to refresh my memory again?
All right. Do you have any memory of any songs that Mr. Williams referencing a woman getting robbed by a tick? I blank her and she get robbed by a tick.
I don't recall. That was in the early time. I don't recall that song.
Okay. When you say in the early
I'm
times,
saying like in the beginning of his career, I don't recall that song.
for you, can you tell the jury what you consider the beginning of the career, the earlier part that you wouldn't remember, just so they have a frame of reference?
Probably around, I guess around his early career, I think exactly the year.
Okay. 2014.
Even if you tell me, got it in front of me, I can't tell you.
All right. Okay. What about Lil Booty Popping at Your Night? That sound familiar?
Yeah, I think that was on the song.
Do you remember what song that was on?
I want to say halftime, if I'm not mistaken.
Any idea when halftime dropped?
No, I don't remember exactly what year halftime dropped either.
Okay. Do you remember around like 2014, 2015?
Don't remember that.
Okay. Were you working as head of security during that time?
I don't recall that because I don't know what year. I can't answer that for you because I don't know what year it came out.
Okay. In March 2015, you said you went home around March. What's March?
Well, that was Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona.
After that show, I went home.
Okay. All right.
Or it would be the next day that I went home.
Okay. All right.
So I didn't travel to the next state with him.
All right. All right. So March 26th, 2015 is Phoenix, Arizona. You would have gone home like March 27th, that Friday.
Yeah, that morning.
That morning? Okay. All right. Did you ever hear, sir, you want to see it again?
No.
All right. Did you ever hear, while you were there, before you went home on March 27th, did you ever hear Defendant Williams refer to any other artists in his music while he was on stage? Other than Travis Scott?
I don't recall because I don't recall all the songs he performed.
Okay. Did you ever hear him diss anybody on stage?
I don't recall.
And I'm going to have to say the word, but I hate to do it, but I'm going to ask. Did you ever hear him call anybody a bitch on stage?
I don't know. He probably said bitch in a lot of songs. I ain't gonna say that. He called no one no bitch. I never heard him call nobody a bitch on stage.
Okay. And did you ever hear him refer to anybody substituting one part of their name for the word bitch?
No.
Okay. When we were talking about that video with you, Mr. Zachary, back last week, the video, I'm sorry, I'm switching gears. I'm switching gears. But I ain't gonna aggressive.
But that's how you prefer it. You go into one subject and then you jumping all the way left field.
All right, I'm gonna try and orient you. Last week, when you and I were talking, do you remember me putting up a video of you and Mr. Zachary, and one or both of you had a gun, and you were saying something like, we're not going back and forth. And you were talking about Kale in the video.
Right.
All right. When you were, do you remember when it was that you filmed that video? Not posted it, but filmed it.
I don't recall when we filmed it.
Okay. And when you were filming that video, do you remember saying that at any time that it wasn't about a girl?
I don't think we never even mentioned a girl name in the video. So.
Okay. So is it fair to say, or is your testimony that the stuff you said to Kale wasn't about no girl?
I don't recall. I can't say it. So I don't recall. You saying what I said. I don't recall because I ain't say nothing about the girl in the video.
That's fair. All right. But do you remember the video?
I remember we made the video, but I don't remember what I said either.
Miss Knight, are you able to pull up that video?
Mr. Kokomo. What's that?
441. All right. We're going to play 441 for you one more time.
We ain't really going to take off, you know, bitch ass. I know you. Kill, fuck you, nigga, kill. Who is there? Nigga, what, nigga? What? They say they ain't going to take.
Okay. You're chuckling.
Now,
it's funny now?
Yeah.
Now, who other than Kale were you talking to when you said whoever is?
I just said whoever is.
All right. Now, what were you meaning to tell Kale?
I wasn't meaning to tell him nothing.
Okay.
I said what I said in the video.
All right. Which was, we're not going back.
I ain't going back and forth with him.
All right.
I ain't say them, I said him.
Right. Was he trying to go back and forth with you about something?
If you want to be honest, they were saying that he was looking for me about treatment. So that's the whole thing. So when he didn't respond to me when I DM'd him, I made sure he was going to be able to see what I was saying.
What did you DM Kale?
I don't got no problem about no girl.
Okay. And when did to your knowledge, did Kale say something about Mr. Zachary?
I don't know. No, I can't recall if he said anything about Zachary. I don't know.
Then I'm gonna have to fall to my country roots and ask you, what was Mr. Zachary doing up in there with y'all?
I don't know. He was just being silly in the video too. It was all silly. It wasn't in there serious. Cause when I seen Kale, he ain't do nothing to me. I ain't do nothing to him, so it wasn't that serious.
So for you, putting guns on the internet ain't that serious? Is that fair?
No one was shot, so I don't think it was that serious. So, the video. They'll also walk around with guns all day, like that serious.
All right. When you oriented you back to the rodeo tour, not trying to switch up and change you and confuse you.
That when you first heard it. You went from here to that.
I'm trying to get past it and go
and
fast.
I'm trying to stay focused with you, which you started throwing me off.
All right.
Come on.
When we're talking about the rodeo tour, you said you had to go home, but you were working. Did you have any kind of contractual obligations you had to fulfill before you went home?
He'll let me go home anytime I wanted to, no matter what the contract was. He'll let me go home. If I tell him I want to go home and see my son, they'll let me go home.
All right. And did you have someone to replace you when you went home?
Yes, I was head of security, so that means I only choose the security.
All right.
That don't mean I was did security.
All right.
Head of security just mean like I could come say, we're gonna get me love, we're gonna get him, we're gonna get her, we're gonna get Mr. Right. And if one of you don't do right, I just say, we'll give him a plane ticket.
Did you have responsibility for sending folks home to act it up on tour?
No, I don't have responsibility to it.
Okay. Now, on cross-examination, going back to,
It's right now.
thank you. This is defendant Williams, number 255, right?
Yes.
All right. You told Mr. Steele that you had seen that, you recognized that before,
Yes.
right? Where had you seen that?
If I am mistaken, man, when it was posted and added, I want to say man, Mr. Williams was together.
When it was posted and added, y'all were together?
When it got added him, man was together. That's why I remember this post. And we were both like, I think he was gonna try to use it in a song or something, but he didn't.
Are you familiar with D-Mac, Got Me Too Bang?
I don't know him personally. No, I don't know him.
Now, where was it that you saw it?
I want to say that was Twitter or something at the time, if I'm mistaken.
Now, are you tagged on this tweet too?
No, what given?
The jury doesn't know, so I'm just asking.
You showed that they presented it, and they see
All
I'm not tagged on it.
So when you say that you and Mr. Williams were together, were you looking at his Twitter account?
Yeah, we were sitting there looking at the phone together.
At Mr. Williams' phone?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pull up what I will mark for you as State's Exhibit number 4. Judge, I'm going to, for the purposes of this question, mark the clip that I'm going to show as State's Exhibit 447. I'm sorry, 449. And it is from 1:03:30 to 1:08:17 of Mr. Sledge's testimony on September 5th, 2024, when I asked about the video of defendant Williams speaking into the camera, talking about they lighted them on.
September 24th.
Last week.
Oh,
Just last week.
I was gonna say,
Yeah. Just take a look at it, if you will.
I would.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not trying to give you no hard time.
Thank you for trying not to give me a hard time. Take a look at it. My apologies. Yes. Mr. Steele, do you mind coming over to Miss Knight, so that she can show you what we're about to show?
Anybody else? Any of the other?
Anybody, yes. And Judge, so that our record is very clear, it will be 449 Yankee.
Thank you.
And thank you for not giving me a hard time.
I don't want to. I just want to get up, get out of here.
All right.
I don't want to give you no hard time.
Is it done? Transfers, okay. Because I didn't want to break it. Judge, just so that the court's aware, we're making it available, but we're planning to do the transfer so that the volume isn't overheard by anybody else in the courtroom. And with the court's permission, I'm just going to sit while they're looking.
This gonna be a while.
All right. Do y'all need a break at all?
Okay.
Jesus.
He just went there mumbling to himself and shit like, can you get this shit over with?
your testimony that we have, and will mark as 449 Yankee, just for the purposes of the record. And I want you to listen to it. It will be approximately 2 minutes. And after you hear it, would you just tell me if you remember that? I don't want to ask you just straight out if you remember something, okay? I don't mind, Judge. I'll tell him. You have to give me a second. Hold on. Judge, that will be from time 103, 1:03:30 to 1:08:17. Yes, a little more than 2 minutes. I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. Me and my bad math.
She's still like that.
Because we can't do it.
Can't understand.
You can add them years up.
You
trying to say something to Oh yeah, he cut up. He tried to do some your book. He's like, hell no.
Just put anything out there. I don't want to put nothing in my ear, nobody else. Yeah, it's something. No. Yeah. But I don't want to use it. Yeah, get some of that. Yeah. That's a perfect. I don't want to wake up, my ears broke out. You gonna pay it. You gonna pay that doctor bill. Okay. All right. Me. So let's just do it the right way. Yeah.
Fresh earbuds.
You can go.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just want to make sure I can hear.
You can? Kind of important, just in the body. Stop.
That's all.
Okay. You stop.
I remember that.
You do.
Yeah, but you know, please.
Okay.
Okay.
You can't talk.
Okay.
Yeah, man. This is ridiculous. They ain't play the audio out loud for everybody.
Come on. Just let me stop some more.
So it's just for his ears only.
Having heard
That's
what you
wild.
said when I asked you about state 449 Yankee, do you recall my showing you the video of Defendant Williams looking into the camera, talking about they lied to their mama?
Yes.
And do you recall me asking you whether that was your voice in the video?
I told you it sounded like my voice.
And do you recall me pressing you, asking you, was that you?
When you just showed me the video, I see now, but that's why when I told you it sounded like me, I thought you just took it as that was me. 'Cause I told you it sounded like me, and the only way it could sound like me, I had to be there in the room.
Do you recall telling me that you did not remember being in the room?
I see on the video I did, but like I tell you, you were pushing me so much that day too. My mind just was everywhere.
And when I asked you if that was you specifically who said snitching bitches,
I said, yes, that was me. That was my voice. Sounded like my voice. That's what I said.
did you ever acknowledge though that was you in the video?
I said it sounded like my voice. So yes, I acknowledge that was me if I said it would sound like my voice. I ain't say it sounded like Miss Love, and I said it sounded like me. That to me, that's saying it's me.
All right. Do you recall me asking you where you were?
I said, and I told you I didn't remember what house it was, but I did. I said that sounded like my voice.
Do you recall me asking you who all was in the room?
I don't recall you asking me that. I ain't hear that on that either.
Do you recall me asking you the names of anybody else that was there?
No, I recall you didn't ask me about nobody. You was on the Pacific asking me about my voice. That's what I remember.
And do you recall at some point telling me, I'm not saying that it's me, I'm just saying it sounds like me, so I can't tell you?
Yeah, I told you it sounded like my voice. That's all I remember telling you. It sounded like my voice. So I know if it sounded like my voice, I just thought you. I say, yeah, that's him. He said it sounded like his voice.
Do you remember those attorneys showing you the same video a day later?
Yes.
Do you remember him asking you, was that you in the video?
Yes.
Do you remember telling him, yes, that is you in the video?
Yes, because I had the day to think about it, and then I was like, yeah, when I was still playing in my mind when you showed it to me, and then I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that is me in the video saying it's my voice.
Is that the video that you were thinking of when you were talking to me back in June with your attorney, Lieutenant Lancico, and myself out in Fayette?
I don't even remember you asking me about that video, Ms. Love.
Do you remember me telling you on direct or asking you on direct about a video where I asked you if you had seen or did you know the video where they say you lie to your mama, you lie to your kids, and you said that wasn't me?
No, I remember telling you I didn't see me in the video. I seen Mr. Whittam in the video, but I don't recall the statement you made.
Thank you. And do you recall me asking you then, where had you seen that video before we met in Fayette?
I don't recall, but I just heard it. Something about you asked me that, and I told you I seen it before time, and I seen it recently.
Now, between the time I showed it to you and the time that Mr. Steele showed it to you, did you go look at it and listen to it again?
No.
All right. And so what happened that made your memory precise about not just the fact that it was you, but where exactly it was shot. I'll clear it up. Bad question. Do you remember telling Mr. Steele where that video was taken?
I don't recall Mr. Steele even asking me where it was taken. I don't even recall him asking me.
Your Honor, can I object at this point, 403?
I'm not, I mean, we've all heard the testimony, so whether he remembers it or not at this point is not really the issue. Can you just ask the questions you intended
Sure,
to ask him?
Thank you. Mr. Sledge, why did you remember who all was in the room when the video was shot, when Mr. Steele asked you the question?
I just told you, when you asked me, I didn't remember. But when I left that day and I thought about the video, and then I realized everybody's voice who was in the video.
Okay. And what about the time or the date that the video was shot? What did you remember that too after you left?
He showed me the date of the video he had, and then I remember it was a repost, different date. I don't remember the date of the repost, but I knew what he cross-examined me on. I knew the answer to that question.
And do you remember me asking you about what what you understood Defendant Williams to be talking about when he said they lied to their mama, they lied to their sister, and all that stuff? Do you remember me asking about that?
No, I don't remember asking you.
At any point, having heard the video again today, did you hear anybody reference lying in the courtroom on that video?
Yes.
You heard somebody say something about lying in the courtroom?
Oh, no. You said lying in the courtroom?
Uh-huh.
I don't even know if I just heard that, Ms. Love, to be honest. But I think I did. I'm not mistaken. If you got anything, just show it to me.
Your Honor, state request permission to play against states 440, 447 Yankee.
That's
The video itself.
okay. All right.
And so even hearing it just now, you don't remember, right?
No, if you show me again, that part.
Okay, don't worry about the earphones. We're gonna put it up on the big screen.
He's sick of her ass. Be like, he in his wit's end.
So nigga, a lot of they mama, a lot of they kids, a lot of they brothers and sisters, they didn't get right in the courtroom and tell God that is true. Don't get now they get fucking killed, bro. No. From me and YSL.
I don't hear it say lying in the courtroom, though.
All right. So when you were asked on cross-examination by Mr. Steele if that video talked about lying in the courtroom, and you said, yeah, was that a mistake?
Yeah, that was a mistake. I didn't say lying. It didn't say lying in the courtroom. The voice didn't say lying in the courtroom.
Okay. What did you understand it to be saying?
What he said or what in the video it said.
The video.
It's something I don't go.
Okay. And when Thug is talking, what is he talking about doing in the courtroom? Telling the God's honest truth?
Yes.
All right. And after Mr. Williams says, and you get in the courtroom and tell the God's honest truth, you need to get killed, bro. That's from me, YSL. Since you realize now that that is your voice, would you tell the jury why you say snitch and bitch?
Because snitch is a liar to me.
Okay. Did you just not say that he said you get in the courtroom and tell the God's honest truth?
Well, I'm in the courtroom telling God honest truth, so whatever he said, what he said.
Okay. So when he's about telling the God's honest truth in the courtroom, why you follow that up with snitch and bitch?
I just said something. Wasn't no reason following it up.
Do you consider a person who does get in the courtroom and tell God's honest truth on their friends snitching bitches?
No.
Oh, shit. Hard question to answer. He did say it.
You were also asked on cross-examination by Mr. Steele about
She picking and choosing when she want to cuss.
a meeting that you had with Lieutenant Lance Cole, your lawyer, and me out in Fayette County.
Yeah.
Call that?
Yes.
Did you let Mr. Steele know before we met that we were actually going to have a meeting?
Did I let Mr. Steele know?
Yep.
No, I haven't talked to Mr. Steele before.
All right. Did you let anyone in his office know that we were going to have that meeting?
No.
And afterwards, did you let him know that we just had it?
Could you be more direct? What you trying to say?
Only what I'm asking.
You said, did I do what?
Did you let Mr. Steele know that we just had that meeting?
When? After we had the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Did you ever let me know that you had that Zoom call with Mr. Steele?
No, I ain't. Because my lawyer put the Zoom call together. I didn't put it together.
Okay.
Mr. Steele didn't call my phone himself and say, Mr. Sledge, what's going on? No.
Okay.
My attorney was on the Zoom call.
Okay. And on the Zoom call, or rather last week, Mr. Steele asked you very pointedly, if you recall, do you remember Mr. Steele asking you, did Miss Love, or did you tell Miss Love that Defendant Williams encouraged you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station?
I say that to you and Mr. Steele.
Do you recall Mr. Steele
asking me that? Yes, yes.
Do you recall Mr. Steele asking you, did Miss Love tell you, do not tell the jury that Defendant Williams encouraged you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station?
I wouldn't say it was said like that.
Hold on a minute. Do you recall him asking you that?
Yes, yes.
And do you recall telling him, yes, Miss Love told me, do not tell the jury that Defendant Williams encouraged me to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station?
You didn't say it at the meeting June 9th. You didn't say it that way. But when I brought it to your attention that Mr. Williams told me to take me and Kenneth Copeland to the police station, your exact words to me, I don't want you to say that, and I would not be asking you that question.
So,
Ooh.
at what point did I tell you not to tell the jury that Defendant Williams encouraged you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station?
You didn't use the word jury, but that's the way I took it, because from my understanding of this process, that I would be speaking to the jury to try to prove the facts to the jury, and I just thought I should come in and tell my truth.
When your lawyer and you, Lieutenant Lancico, and I sat outside that coffee shop, were you in any kind of handcuffs?
No.
Did you come on your own?
I came with my lawyer.
Did you leave on your own with your lawyer?
Yes.
And did anybody try to read you any kind of rights or anything like that?
No, you know that. I would have been.
But the jury doesn't know that, okay?
Right.
So, did you feel free to say whatever you wanted to say?
I just told you. I said what I said. Free, yeah.
All right.
I'm free to say what I want to say.
Okay. So, during that conversation, were you encouraged to come into the courtroom and simply tell the truth?
Yes.
Were you encouraged to simply tell the truth by me?
You said it out your mouth that you wanted me to come here and tell the truth, but you said it out your mouth.
Were you encouraged to tell the truth in front of Lieutenant Lancico and me by your attorney?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, did your attorney tell you to act as if any question the state asks you, they already know the answer? So don't try to finagle anything. Tell them the truth.
I don't recall him saying that.
She's yelling again.
I hate to use this, I'm not being blasphemous, but did your attorney tell you to pretend like the state is God and they know everything?
No, he didn't say that.
Okay.
I know that. You heard me.
All right. Do you remember me asking you about the video? Do you remember me asking you about the video and you're denying being in a video where you say you lie to your kids?
I never denied the video. I said you don't see me in the video. They're my exact words.
Right.
That ain't denying the video.
Okay. And do you remember after that I said, I've seen a video with you in it?
You said you seen the video with me, and I said you didn't see no video with me in it.
And do you remember me saying, yes, I have?
But
and you kind of smiled.
At the time, you were referring to the video that Mr. Williams posted, not the video that I posted. Because if you would have seen the video that you posted, Mr. Sledge, I would have said, yeah, that's me in that video.
Mr. Sledge, did I make reference to whose video it was? Or did I just ask you about the video?
I thought you, when you brought up the video with Jeffrey in it at first, then you brought the video up for Jeffrey. Because I told you that wasn't me in it. I said, you didn't see me in no video.
Okay, no problem. Now, on direct examination, do you remember as you sit here today, me asking you, whether Mr. Williams encouraged you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station
In this courtroom?
in this courtroom.
Yeah, you asked me the question. I figure you asked me the question because my lawyer called me and asked me, what did you, Ms. Lord, say to you and at me? So then you told me at the meeting, you wasn't gonna ask me the question, but then you get in the courtroom and ask me the question.
So
That's what happened.
okay, so was it that I said I'm not going to ask you that, or did I tell you not to tell the jury that?
You said how I took it.
How you took it? I just need to know my words. John,
It's non-responsive. Ask your next question.
my words only. Did I ever tell you not to tell the jury that Defendant Williams encouraged you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station? Did I ever tell you that?
You just said you didn't want me to say that.
Okay. Now, is it your testimony that I said I don't want you to say that, or I'm not going to ask you that?
It's both of them.
Oh, we don't really have a clear answer.
All right.
His answer was clear. You said both of them.
And it's your testimony that your lawyer and Lieutenant Lansico were still right there when I said these words that you heard?
Yes, I wouldn't have said it.
All right. And based on what you just testified to the jury, you gleaned from that I didn't want you to tell the jury.
I never used the word tell the jury. I just said exactly what you said to me. I say, Ms. Love told me that she didn't want me to say that, and she wasn't going to ask me that question.
Okay, so then your memory is not, you don't remember telling Mr. Steele. You do not remember asking Mr. Steele saying, did Ms. Love tell you, do not tell the jury?
If he said jury, I forgot I made a mistake, and I should have corrected Mr. Steele if he said jury. But I'm telling you what you said to me and to me. I ain't saying you said don't tell it to the jury. But that's the way I took it too, because that's who I'm supposed to be talking to, right? Telling the truth to, right?
Right.
Okay, so in my way, not the lawful way, that's the way I took it. Because if somebody tell me, oh, I don't want you to tell my girlfriend this, I'm going to tell you this. You feel what I'm saying? You don't want me to tell the truth.
Okay. So, all right.
You can't explain why she said, I don't
So were
want
you
to
surprised
say
when I
that.
asked you, did he encourage you to take Kenneth Copeland to the police station if you thought I didn't want you to tell the jury?
Yes, it surprised me. He just told you that.
I'm exploring what you said is understanding.
You told him not to say it.
So when I asked you that question, were you surprised given that you thought I didn't want you to talk about it?
Yes.
I don't know. I can't recall. I don't know.
All right. Now, on cross-examination, did you tell Mr. Sharp that you didn't feel like you could go to trial, or you didn't have the ability to go to trial?
I said I couldn't afford to go to trial.
Okay.
That's the question he asked me. He didn't say the ability. He said afford.
All right. And that's the reason that you answered yes to all the questions that you answered yes to on State's Exhibit 444 AP and 1AS?
I don't recall.
Haven't had time to think about it now. Do you remember and realize that your sentencing acknowledgments placed you in peril of probation revocation if you testified inconsistently with something you said was true during your plea agreement?
I don't think I testified that wasn't true today, if I recall.
Do you remember testifying on last week when I asked you specifically about portions of what you agreed to, and for you to tell me if any part of it you're now testifying is false, to label it false, and if any part of it, if it's all true, to tell me it's true. Do you remember me having that conversation with you?
I remember the conversation, but you had put so much on, I don't even recall what went on.
Do you remember me putting in front of you, Stacey, 447Y? And
Yes. What? You'd like a new question? Oh, okay. Right. Whether he remembers it or not is not really the relevant matter.
Oh,
all right. Did you testify that
I know.
number?
Not highlighted.
Did you testify that number?
I did already.
I put it back. This is it. That one is. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, the second part. Did you testify that, looking at this, at State's Exhibit 1AS, did you testify that number 3 under defendant's factual acknowledgments is not entirely true?
No, I didn't say it was not entirely true. I think I remember I said the part of the support of YSL, and you put Kill as a robber gang, and I told you I didn't even know he was that gang at the time. And if I made a mistake anywhere else, I made a mistake.
All right, do you remember me putting, now I have to ask, do you remember, Your Honor? Do you remember me putting State's Exhibit 444Y in front of you?
I remember you putting all these papers in front of me, but I'm like,
Do you remember me asking you to go over each number, and if one of it is true or one of it, do you remember me asking you that if all of the statement is true, to tell me and label it true, but that if any of it is not true, to call it false? Do you remember that?
I don't recall that, Ms. Lil. Like I told you, you've been confusing me for so many days. You've been confusing me since I've been on the stand. So I don't know, like now, you jump from one thing to another thing. My brain don't move as fast as probably yours. I might don't learn as quick as you do. So I don't remember all this stuff. You putting all these papers in front of me ain't gonna make it remember.
Okay. All right.
So whatever you trying to get to.
All right, we're just getting to the questions. So we'll take it slow.
I don't remember.
All right, 1AS, that is the document you signed, right?
Yeah.
All right. On 1AS.
I don't want us to go over the whole direct examination.
I'm not.
This is supposed to be redirect.
I'm not, Your Honor. I'm specifically asking questions that are related to what the witness responded to on cross. So on cross-examination, the witness was asked whether he was allowed to craft this, whether they were his words, whether he understood them, whether he felt compelled to.
I recall.
And so what I'm asking now, and he was also asked on cross, whether he felt between a rock and a hard place.
I already answered that question.
So what is it that you want to ask?
I believe that he testified on cross that one part was feeling between the state and the other was Fulton County Jail or going back to jail. So I'm asking him about his sentencing acknowledgments and what he has stated or agreed to within the sentencing acknowledgments and how that squares with his rock and hard place on December 28, 2022.
Okay, and ask him that, how those acknowledgments square with his rock and a hard place.
I don't think that's going to get a quick answer, but I'll ask. Okay, so Mr. Sledge.
I don't think it's going to get answered.
How do your sentencing acknowledgments square with, do you understand that?
Now you're thinking this stuff funny.
No, sir, I don't.
But why you laughing?
Do you understand?
Because I know your question ain't funny.
It is not.
So what you laughing for?
Mr. Sledge, do you recall stating in your sentencing?
You tell Your Honor, you want the judge to make her stop laughing. He like, I'm sick of this shit. She asked him why he chuckled.
Oh my God.
It's on the fair.
Okay. Well, you have the paper in front of you. Would you please look at it to refresh your memory?
It still don't refresh my memory.
Your Honor, the state tender states Exhibit 1AS as evidence
So called.
of a prior past recollection recording.
Prior past recollection.
Yes, it was, and it was agreed to.
Uh-oh.
And I object as well, Your Honor. This is not past recollection recorded. And past recollection recorded does not come into evidence. I have to get you the code section.
You're right, it doesn't. You read it into the record.
That's exactly right.
We already read it into the record, though, and not we, but you. You already read it into the record once.
Your Honor, I'm asking, all right, fine. Mr. Sledge, do you understand that you agreed that if you fail or refuse to testify to any fact that you acknowledged in this plea agreement, that such failure or refusal nullified any promise by the DA to null pros count 30 of the indictment?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained. And we've already established that he adopted all of those things.
So understanding that as of last week, you understood the sentencing acknowledgments, it did not place you in what you call between a rock and a hard place with Mr. Sharp, as far as coming in here and testifying to something different than what you put in the factual acknowledgments.
I came, from my understanding, I would be able to explain the things that you wouldn't change. That was from my understanding. So now I'm going to testify my truth and not what you put on paper and your answer. These is not my answers on this paperwork. Yeah, I did sign it, but if you would have came to me personally, like I think you should have did, and asked me this yourself, I would have told you no.
Did you testify that lay low were my words and not yours when I asked you on direct examination about defendant Williams giving YSL members money to lay low after the murder of Donovan Thomas?
When you asked me at that meeting, I told you he couldn't have gave YSL money to lay low because I'm the only one who stayed in Atlanta. No. I told you he gave me money to get out of harm's way. I borrowed $300.
I'm talking about in court last week. Do you remember saying, I didn't say lay low, those were your words?
That is your word. I didn't say lay low. That was already on this paper. I never used the word lay low. So you not one time. All this stuff that you trying to say, it was already on the paper. You changed certain things and then we agreed. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even want to say that. I got another paper that's saying you changed number 8. It went from one thing to another thing. You don't want to red flag that?
No, I do.
Okay.
So thank you.
Because you changed the personal knowledge and I ain't changed it.
Thank you for that.
I would have never said yes to that. When I got to the last paper where I thought we had an understanding of what the emails my lawyer sent you.
So do you now remember getting multiple versions of states 444Y that was changed at your request?
Not all of it.
Okay. Well, let's just show you. And you tell me which ones you remember.
So it ain't gonna make me remember none of this stuff.
Okay.
I ain't gonna remember none.
So do you remember asking the state to change more than one thing on the factual acknowledgement?
A lot of things.
Do you remember the state making changes at your request?
I don't really know because I seen something different today that it wasn't what I thought it was the day I agreed.
Do you remember last week testifying that you hadn't seen any other document besides the one you signed?
I just seen them today.
Okay.
I didn't see it. My lawyer was just coming asking me, and I guess he thought the questions was gonna be changed. And I don't think they was changed.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that. Since you won't remember, that's fine. When you were asked by Mr. Sharp about April 28th, 2015, Jeffrey Williams, he only asked you whether Jeffrey Williams was with you in addition to you and Mr. Zachary and Mr. Garlington. Is that right? Is my memory correct?
Oh, God.
Okay. Did you feel on December 28th, 2022, as able as you have felt in this courtroom this week and last week to tell the judge when you needed to do something like talk to your attorney? Did you feel as free to talk to your attorney or ask for requests to speak to your attorney then?
I don't recall.
You don't?
No.
Okay. Is there any portion of what the jury saw in your December 28, 2022 testimony where you halted the proceedings? Or what wasn't seen? Did you ever halt the proceedings on December 28, 2022 to ask to speak to your attorney?
I don't even know the word the judge used.
Did you ever stop and say, Judge, can I talk to my lawyer like you have today and last week?
Like I told you earlier, I ain't sitting over there. I'm sitting up there supposed to be telling my truth. And it's like you're not accepting my truth. I wasn't sitting over there in County Blues. I'm sitting over there in County Blues. I'm in the free world. So it's like, I couldn't stop and say that over there.
Why?
Because I don't understand that. But once I got up there, I thought I could. Because you told me that. You said, anything you don't understand, you didn't tell me that December 28th, right?
Did your lawyer?
No. My lawyer didn't tell me to stop neither.
So sitting next to your lawyer, did you ask him questions? Not talking about what they were, but did you ask him questions at the table?
I would ask the witness to be allowed to answer the questions.
Judge, I'm not asking him what was said. I'm asking him
The purpose of the what? Oh, no, that is overruled.
sitting at the table next to the lawyer you had known for 15 years. Were you able to ask him questions?
I probably could have, but I didn't.
And in the back, when you were with the lawyer you've known for 15 years, did you ask him questions?
Yeah, I told him.
Well, if he wants to share it, it's his to share.
I don't want to share it. Okay, I don't want.
Specific about what you and your.
I don't want to share it.
And I'm not asking you what, I'm
I
asking
don't
you,
want.
did
She
you?
just said I had to share it.
She said you didn't have to share the content. I'm asking.
I don't want to share it. I don't recall.
I'm asking you, did you ask?
I don't
the lawyer?
recall. I don't recall. Here you go.
Are you saying that now because you're just frustrated?
Here you go again. Here you go again. Here you go again. That's it.
Get information that is subject matter of an attorney-client.
Okay, I disagree. The question was, were you able to ask him questions in the back? And frankly, he answered it before he didn't recall. So,
Thank you, Judge. All right. When you left court last week, did you wipe your nose at the jury?
What you mean?
Just that. Did you wipe your nose at the jury?
Yeah, when you asked me to do it.
I mean, when you got off the stand?
No.
Okay.
Well, I wipe my nose at the chair. See, she going too far.
until there's an objection, they just ask questions. But all these are capable lawyers, as is your lawyer. So
Yeah, but she,
I just call the balls and strikes.
you silly.
All right.
I swear you.
Just one moment, yeah.
She's silly.
I think she's on this stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. Before I go back left. Cause I don't mind going left.
What do you mean? You said go back left?
Arguing back and forth with you.
Okay.
You just being petty now.
All right. You felt differently on December 28th, 2022.
You would have changed everything I want you to change. I probably wouldn't be going through. You probably wouldn't have gave me the deal. If you'd have came and asked me. I don't know, I'll still go, man.
I don't want to make you sick.
Well, let me
Who are
take
you
a
talking
break.
to right now?
Let me take a break.
Hang on just a second.
He's sick
Are
as shit.
you almost done? Because
I'm wrapping
there's
up.
some people who need a restroom break.
Let me just give them that break, Your Honor, and I'll make sure that I'm
Give them
on.
that, yes, let's take a break right now.
He's sick of her ass. She knows she is old. I ain't no part of this shit no more. 6'10", they still ain't big. I think they just went on and let this nigga be done. Yeah, when they came back in, they were just like, you know what, we done with it. Let's talk to his attorney. If I'm not mistaken, that's where they picked up today. They picked up today there. The attorney. I'm trying. I think exclusive tonight.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Lodge.
Hold off on saying exactly what it is.
Judge, I believe that to everyone's delight, that's all that I have for Mr. Sledge right now.
All right, thank you. Is there any recross from any of the attorneys?
To everybody's delight.
Not on behalf of Mr. Stillwell.
Okay. All right.
I want to apologize to Ms. Lord, courtroom, and to for getting upset.
I appreciate that. Your Honor, I'd ask that Mr. Sledge not be released, but be excused temporarily.
Okay, you are excused. You're still under subpoena, so there's a possibility that you might get called again at some point.
For
If so, somebody will let you know through Mr. Wright.
Okay,
But you are free to go.
thank you.
How many more times do they need to
All right.
say?
Ms. Love, call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls,
What in the
I
hell?
believe that I will be calling a lieutenant, but if not, it will be Mr. Wright.
Okay.
A lieutenant, but if not, it'll be Mr. Wright. His attorney. Why would his attorney be called?
Raise your hand. You confirm testimony you made true. I did. See.
The lieutenant must have got.
Right. Derek, D-E-R-E-K, Wright, W-R-I-G-H.
Oh,
Good afternoon, Mr. Wright.
Good afternoon.
Forgive me for putting you on this stand. This is not a place that I know you normally reside.
Sustained.
I'm going to take these away from you. Put these over here. Mr. Wright, I will not be getting into matters of privilege. I'll just ask you a few brief questions regarding your interaction with the state as it relates to the witness that just testified.
Okay.
First of all, would you please tell the jury?
why should you call this man attorney on the stand? This is a little bit weird.
How long you've been practicing law?
It's a year short of 30 years, so 29 years.
And how long have you known Mr. Antonio Sledge?
At least 15, probably longer, somewhere between 15 and 20 years.
And forgive me, but were you sworn in? You were sworn in?
Yes.
Okay. And did you meet him first in your capacity as an attorney representing him, or did you know his family before you began representing him?
In a legal capacity first.
Okay. Do you know how many instances where you've had to represent Mr. Sledge in Fulton County? Without saying a number, are you aware of how many instances?
If I thought about it, I probably would come up with an accurate number.
Is it, have you had at least 10 occasions to interact with him on not criminal matters, but just matters, legal matters?
When you say occasions, are you referring to cases or just interactions? I've not represented him on 10 cases. It's far less than that.
Okay. Over the last 15 years, are you comfortable telling the jury how many cases that you had an occasion to represent Mr. Sledge?
I would say, for sake of being accurate to this one and the one they've heard about from before, and I think a misdemeanor case. So other than that, I would be having to really dig deep, and I think that's probably it.
Did the misdemeanor case happen 15 years ago?
Probably more like 6 to 8 years ago, give or take.
So what was the first, when you say you've been his attorney for 15 years, what was the first instance? What year was the first instance?
Again, I can't tell you. I'm not being difficult. I just don't recall. I just know that I did come in contact with him as an attorney. And then with many of my clients, I developed a relationship. So he is someone that I've considered a friend, and I know him, some of his family. And therefore, I've had an ongoing interaction with him, both professional and personal, for 15 plus years.
All right. Is it fair to say he's not the only person that you represented in criminal matters?
Correct. I've represented many, many people over the years.
Have you had occasion to represent many, many people in Fulton County over the years?
Yes.
Have you had occasion where when you make an entry of appearance with respect to, say, for instance, a bond hearing, but have been required to stay on as a person's attorney?
Early on, when I first started, you had some of that because, one, often you might get onto a case and then get appointed where the county pays you to stay with the client.
Okay.
So early on, there was sort of an advantage to getting on early, and then you could stay on if the client either retained you privately or the county paid you. Later on, that changed, and more emphasis was put on public defender and contract attorneys and other stuff. So I would say in the last 10, 15 years, not so much.
So if you signed on to represent a person in the last 10 or 15 years for one thing and wanted to withdraw, the courts have allowed you generally to do that?
Generally, it depends where you are. If you're in Tounk County, Tounk County don't let you withdraw. Once your name hits the paper, you're the attorney regardless of whether you get paid or not. There's some other counties like that. Okay. Fulton is generally pretty liberal, where Fulton, if you and the client come to a disagreement or if money, Mr. Green doesn't show up, that also is a reason that you can sometimes get out of the case. So from that standpoint, Fulton is a little more understanding that sometimes the attorney and client have to go separate ways.
Without getting into the specifics of what you may have shared with your client, unless he waives it and you've been given permission to, and you'll have to tell me if that's the case.
Well, I'll tell you now, he has not waived attorney-client privilege.
That is fine.
So I'm restrained by the laws.
That's absolutely okay. Okay. So without getting into anything that is privileged information, would you tell the jury if information that is said between you and your client in the presence of others, such as Lieutenant Lantico, a lawyer from the state, whether that information is considered privileged?
It's a two-part answer.
Yes.
From an attorney-client privilege standpoint, that conversation may not be privileged because it's been said outside of me and the client, meaning there's more individuals hearing it. Right. From a plea negotiation, and whether plea negotiations are admissible in a court of law, that is beyond the attorney-client relationship, but an admissibility issue. And therefore, the question of this conversation isn't so much an attorney-client, but whether if it's a plea negotiation or it's the furtherance of one, is it admissible?
Okay. So have you been sitting in court during the entire time that Mr. Antonio Sledge has been on the stand?
Yes. Well, there may have been a one hour short period of time one morning where I had someone covering for me. But other than that, okay. I've been here the entire time.
Were you present in court when he was asked by Mr. Steele about a June 2024 meeting in Fayette between Lieutenant Lantico, yourself, Mr. Sledge, and myself?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall that meeting in Fayette County?
Yes, it was the Starbucks in Fayetteville, my place.
And how would you characterize that? First of all, how long did that meeting last?
I would estimate maybe plus or minus 40 minutes.
And generally speaking, how would you characterize that meeting, the content, the purpose?
Often when you enter into an agreement with the state, you'll be asked to come in or meet with them to discuss questions they may want to ask, subjects they may want to cover. And basically it's almost sort of like a prep session. And from the defense side, we're also trying to get an idea of what are you going to ask us? What are you where are you going with things? So it's sort of both sides feeling each other out. And that way, when we get to court, things can sort of go smoothly. And that was sort of what we anticipated. And that's generally what the meeting was. To be honest, we did not get into the details of testimony as much as I am generally accustomed to. Most of it was, Ms. Love, you getting to know my client and getting a feel for him, and vice versa. So honestly, a lot of the details weren't discussed. It was more of a feel each other out kind of meeting, in my opinion.
Okay. And do you recall me asking your client about any specific details of the case or the plea that he signed on December the 28th?
There was discussion at that meeting about the plea that he had signed, a couple of videos, and again, I'm generalizing because I don't have an exact memory of everything. And again, because you didn't get into a lot of the details, like, to be sure, there was no script, there was no, here are the questions you're going to be asked. It was a very generalized kind of conversation. There was, at one point, which y'all have talked about, a point where he started to share, because he volunteered it.
When you say he volunteered it, what do you mean? Did I ask him something about it?
Mr. Sledge volunteered the subject of what Mr. Williams may have said to him.
Okay.
And to be clear, while it definitely wasn't what you were asking, it wasn't on the subject you wanted to cover. Therefore,
you said the subject I wanted to cover. Please explain what you mean.
You were asking, and I don't remember, to be honest, exactly what the question was, but it wasn't responsive to the question. That's why it stood out. And when you heard what he was saying about Mr. Williams, there was an immediate reaction where it was, that's not what I'm asking you, is what you said to him. And he said, well, he went on, said what Mr. Williams told him.
And was that the part where he's saying he encouraged me to take? So what part are you talking about?
This is what I've observed discussion in the courtroom about what he said about Mr. Williams telling him to take Woody to see the police. And the point was, as his attorney, as a defense attorney, I took it as that wasn't a subject you wanted to talk about and you weren't asking him about. But I can't say that I ever heard you say, don't tell the jury. It was nothing that definitive, but it was simply, that's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I've asked you to tell me. And ultimately, we sort of moved on from it. But it was just clear he very much wanted to say it, and that wasn't what you were looking for in terms of whatever the initial question was. So, but answering the issue at hand, I cannot say that you ever said, don't tell the jury.
And listening to the questions that I put upon your client during direct examination and redirect examination, where I've asked a question and his response has caused me to say, that's not what I'm asking. Would you characterize the interaction at that coffee shop as different than or similar to those type of interactions?
I would say, one, the overall interaction at the coffee shop was pleasant. No one was arguing, yelling, screaming, anything like that. It was very pleasant. You'd ask a question, he'd provide an answer. And then even when we got to that, it still wasn't combative. It was simply, that wasn't what I asked you, or what I'll ask you. It was, again, that just wasn't a subject you were going to be asking him about. So it sort of came and went.
And when you say wasn't a subject I was going to be asking him about, is it your testimony that my response had to do with the question? Your Honor,
honestly, he's a lawyer. He's gonna be able to handle it. I'll give you a little leeway.
Thank you. When you tell the jury that I said, that's not what I'm asking you, was your understanding that that's not what I'm asking you related to the question that I just asked that he seemed to have not been responding to?
It was to the question. That was not the subject matter or topic you were asking a question to. Again, I did not hear it. And again, maybe I'm biased because this is what I do, but I did not hear it as an instruction to say, don't you tell the jury this, or I want you to only tell them about that. It was, that's not what I'm asking you right now. I'm not going to ask you about that. As in, so I did hear that extra part, but again, just reinforced the idea that you weren't instructing him to limit his testimony in any way. It was just clear that wasn't a subject you planned on going into. So as a defense attorney, of course, yeah, my bell rang. I said, that's a hot topic, but it wasn't any ethical issue because I didn't hear you in any way try to discourage him or instruct him not to convey that information if asked.
Now, were you present or were you asked by anyone else whether that was something that had been said?
Well, I wasn't asked, but I will say I am defense bar through and through for almost 30 years. Just as I, in this situation, sort of call balls and strikes. I'm not on one side or the other. And when one side has contact with me, I'll reach out and have contact with the other side to make sure both sides are getting information. And I did reach out and contact Mr. Steele, I believe, or it may have been Max, to say, hey, we did sit down, we had a meeting. Quite honestly, there's no big secrets or anything about the meeting, but I will say there was a situation where when one subject came up, it wasn't what she was asking about, but it resonated with me because knowing what the issues of this trial are, I knew my brethren in the defense bar would want to make sure they knew, Sledge knew, or was told by Mr. Williams to take Woody to the police. Now, I imagine they may already know it, but they may not have known that Sledge had that information. So just as the state was aware of it, I wanted to make sure the defense was aware of it. And I've also made him available so that if they wanted to question him, he could also be questioned by them. In other words, fair to both sides.
And were you present when Mr. Sledge was in communication via Zoom or some other way
Absolutely.
with defendant Williams' attorney?
Correct. In fact, there's not been a single attorney that's contacted me, and it's only a handful of times, but they've always contacted me to talk to Sledge. Okay. Every attorney has shown perfect professionalism.
Were you asked by any counsel for any defendant whether the state ever instructed Mr. Sledge to not tell the jury that defendant Williams encouraged him to go to the police?
Let me answer it in two parts. Yes, I have told them.
No, why you asked? That's the first question.
Oh, let me make sure I'm addressing the question because, us lawyers, we like to talk.
So did Mr. Steele ask you if I told Mr. Sledge, don't tell the jury that defendant Williams encouraged you to go to the police? Did he ask you that question?
I don't recall him necessarily asking the question, but I told him my observation of that conversation. And Mr. Sledge told him his observation of that, really on the same Zoom meeting. So he actually, without having to ask it, received it from both me and Mr. Sledge. And even at that time, I said, I did not hear it that way, but if my client says he heard it that way, then he heard it that way. So it's quote unquote, two people hearing the same thing may take it a different way, especially one who is a defense attorney.
Did I inquire that of you after hearing that from Mr. Sledge? Did I ask you about that?
We have talked about it, yes.
And did you tell me that you told Mr. Steele? No, I didn't hear that.
Well, I told Mr. Steele, I never heard you tell him, do not tell the jury. What I told you was that I explained, I didn't hear her say that. I heard she didn't seem to like that topic, but I can't say that I heard you instruct him. But my client insists that that's what he heard. So that's I know it's not a black and white answer, but that's the gray answer where my client has been very consistent saying, this is what he heard, but that's not what I heard. So I'm not gonna juice it up for the state or for the defense. I can only convey what I, in good faith, heard.
And is there anything in particular that you recognized or saw that made you think I did not like that topic?
Knowing the general idea of what the case is about, that ultimately the state's theory of the case that Mr. Williams.
Wait, without getting into what you believe the state's theory of the case is, I'm asking you specifically what you observed that made you believe. And
that's not what she was asking, so no. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, please go again.
asking you what you observed me do or say, facially, non-facially, verbally, non-verbally, that led you to believe in some way that I didn't like that topic.
The fact that you stopped him pretty abruptly, meaning as he was going into it, he sort of answered anyway. So it wasn't that you didn't yell, you didn't scream, you didn't do anything. It was just, as attorneys, what we're really good at, I know we don't say talking, but listening and picking up. And when I saw that all of a sudden there was sort of a screeching stop point, that's when I realized, maybe, and again, not knowing the details of this case, maybe.
So is that where you drew your conclusion?
Let him finish this.
Maybe that topic, that point has some meaning and some significance. And that's where my thought was, okay, well, just as something may be significant about it in talking to the state, let me also make sure I've conveyed to the defense, hey, that might be some sort of topic. And again, I didn't know what he did or didn't do because my role sort of stopped pretty early in this. So again, my thought is if I'm neutral in calling balls and strikes, I want to make sure that they also are aware that may be a topic of interest. And but nothing about your body language or your mannerisms went to anything more than just, hey, maybe there's something there that someone needs to look into.
Did I tell him that's not what I asked in a way different than you've heard me say that when he's on the stand?
No.
Okay. And when I've said that's not what I've asked when he's been on the stand, did you draw a conclusion that that was something I didn't want him to tell the jury?
I didn't draw the conclusion, but I did draw the topic was not the topic he wanted to talk about, which of course I said, why? But it wasn't, I didn't extrapolate from that, you're trying to make sure he doesn't tell the jury.
Did you ever describe the meeting that we had as one where it was supposed to be kind of a get to know you kind of meeting?
Yeah, I mean, that's in truth, it felt more like let's feel each other out, get to know each other.
And before your client offered up the information, Doug encouraged me to go take me to the station. Mm-hmm. Had I asked him any questions leading up to that?
That was towards the later part. You had already gone through some questions. I think you'd asked about video. We'd asked about the history of Cleveland Ave and the formation of certain gangs, notwithstanding YSL, but even before YSL. So there had been plenty of conversation. And again, more of a get to know who Mr. Sledge is, where he's from, what part of the city, how he met folks, like how he met Mr. Williams and, those kind of things. So this particular part that we've been talking about wasn't the beginning, it wasn't the middle, it was probably more towards the end. And maybe 10 more minutes of the meeting.
Had I asked him anything about Donovan Thomas's murder?
We clarified, as we did earlier, that one, he wasn't there, wasn't involved, and clarified he doesn't have specific information helpful to the state or to the defendants about the shooting of Mr. When I'm blanking out that quick.
Mr. Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I know more so.
All right. Now you mentioned videos. Were you present in court when I asked your client about the Lie to Your Mama video?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall in June of this year, while we were at that Starbucks, that is your spot, where I brought up the Lie to Your Mama video?
Yes.
Do you recall whether I simply went into, there's a video where someone's talking about you lie to your mom?
I remember us talking about it generally because what was being discussed, not so much stated by him, but just discussed is, this is sort of a street topic. You might pick up on any street conversation where we're talking about, hey, you might lie to your mama, your daddy, your family, but when you're in court, you gotta tell the truth. But
my question to you specifically is,
were you finished?
Yeah, that was it.
My question to you specifically is, do you recall me asking your client, I want to ask you about a video where they're saying you lie to your mama, you lie to your kids, and your client saying, that's not me. Do you recall that interaction specifically?
Partially. I remember the conversation and the topic. I don't remember his answer being no. I remember that conversation led to a conclusion that this is something that's just said in the street. And he didn't necessarily have a point of origin of it or this or that, but it was just something that's in the street. So that's why I can't give you an answer to both parts of your question.
Mr. Wright, do you recall me telling your client, so is the answer you don't recall him saying, that's not me?
Correct.
That's okay.
I remember it being played.
Wait, you remember a video being played?
I want to say, I don't know if it was played or we heard the audio.
On what?
Well, that's what I'm trying to remember because we only had phones. We may have had a laptop. Again, and I could be incorrect. That's why the safe answer is I'm going to say no, because my recollection of that specific point is not, I don't know if we simply talked about a video or if one was shown.
Okay. Do you recall me telling your client, I have a video of him saying that?
You may have, yes.
Do you recall telling your client, act as if the state is God and they know everything? They already know the answers to the questions they're asking you. So don't try to be clever, just tell the truth.
It is customary. But
no, wait, just, I don't mind the explanation. If I said it wrong, just say, no, you didn't say that.
I don't have a specific recollection of saying that, but it's customary for me to tell my clients, when you are in a cooperating posture, when they ask you questions, assume that they know the answer to the question they're asking, that they're asking you not just to find out information, more often than not, they're testing you. They're trying to see, can they trust you or rely on your responses? Are you going to be truthful with them? So yes, it is likely I would have had that conversation. Would I have said God or some other analogy which made sense? Something. But it's more likely that I, at some point, made sure I said words to the effect of, when they ask you questions, assume they know the answer already. This is more of a testing, not a inquiry for information. So that's why I'm saying I may not have used those exact words, but I'm sure I probably did have that exchange in terms of the concept.
And when would you find it necessary to advise your clients in such a manner?
When they are in a cooperation agreement, and once we realize, they're putting us under subpoena, we actually have to testify. And then the posture sort of changed. That it's not just, hey, we're willing to testify. It's no, you're going to testify. And if you do, understand, you have to come in, you're going to have to tell the truth. And the state's going to question you and ask you some things. And when they do, that's when I would say, don't think you're going to outsmart them and you're smarter than everyone in the room. You need to almost assume they already know the answer to the question. And therefore, being truthful is always in your best interest. One, it's the right thing, but two, it's the smart thing.
Prior to that meeting, had you already been made aware that your client would be testifying?
Well, yes, the purpose of the meeting was, they are going to have us testify. So we need to meet with them and see what questions they're going to ask. And like I said, just as y'all are feeling us out, we're feeling you out to get an idea. Okay, what things are they going to talk about? Are there any issues that are going to happen? And based on the plea and the fact that there was, we'll just say, some tussling or adjusting in terms of what the state was thinking of his factual proffers and what he was thinking, I figured this would also be a good time to start to iron some of those differences out and make sure that we're all on the same page as to what he can testify to and what he can't.
So you do not recall saying that in response to my telling him that we have a video of him saying they lie to your mama, you lie to your kids, and get in the courtroom and tell the God's on the street?
I may have said, wait. That's the video you're referring to. You're asking me, did I counsel him about assume the state knows? In response to my saying to him, I have a video of you, not anybody else I'm talking about, but I have a video of you and him sitting there smiling. And then you saying that you have no memory of that. I may have, only because listening to the dynamics of the situation, that would have been a time it would have triggered me to say to him, hey, this is, make sure you understand you need to be straight with them. So I don't have a specific memory, but just knowing that I've been doing this a while,
Okay.
I'm sure I probably did.
Okay. Now, back in November of 2022, did the state seek? Do you recall getting an email from me asking whether your client wishes to speak with the state about the case?
I believe November 17th. I could be wrong, but I believe that was when I received that email.
And you might have gotten one in November 17th. Did you also give one? I'm going to show you what I had marked and provided to counsel for the defense, but I'm willing to show again as State's Exhibit 450 Yankee, if anyone wants to see it. Sure.
Oh, I left them.
I had muted some shit. I got them listening to some shit. They're having a sidebar.
Maybe longer, who knows? All right, we're gonna take, it's 10 minutes or so, maybe 15, maybe longer, who knows? To give them an opportunity to look at a couple of things.
All right, we're gonna stop it there. And if I come back tonight on this topic, we'll continue with this testimony from. It's an hour and a half. We're at 7:03, and they going on break. And I ain't gonna skip it to when. She said maybe longer, but we'll finish that up, which was yesterday and today. If I do that today, I think I got something else planned, some exclusive tonight. I think. But if it's not tonight, then we'll be back with YSL, maybe. Well, no, I still got the cake. We're going to do something tonight, damn it. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. Just stay tuned. Whenever I figure it out, y'all will see the live schedule. To the next episode, we out. Whole team shining, we stars, big dipping. Get a lot of haystack gang in the sip. Niggas ain't real, nigga. Nope. You gotta feel me, nigga. Yep. Smile in my face behind my back, you trying to kill me, nigga. Damn. You say you got beef, then what you wanna do? What? You screaming, fuck me, nah, nigga, fuck you. Bitch. You ain't hard at me. Couple kick dough, couple robberies. Nigga get extorted, get aborted, he don't pay the fee. Posted in the north, got the 2 to 4 recipe. I be cooking chicken, bitch, not talking rotisserie. I got all my hater, man, I know that they sick of me. Who the fuck he think he is, motherfucker MB3? Honestly, pay him no attention, they up under me. Haters call me Visa cause I'm everywhere they wanna be. Ladies, man, catch me with more honeys than a bumblebee. Say she got a husband, but she always want a subsidy. State gang, true sipper, who these niggas wanna be. I've been getting money since a younger. I've been pushing peace, stay strapped. Gotta watch your back when you're in the streets. Friends turn to foes, never know who your enemy. I was in Detroit, he ain't keep the same energy. West side down the slide, I don't think he feeling me. I was on some demon time, nigga talking about killing me. There no business, let's see all that shit that you gon' do to me. Come outside, why you scared? I thought that you been a G. We don't bluff, we pulling up, we different down in Tennessee. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 o'clock. If it really fitted, let's get it, I got the gun locked. Green and white square, been serving them on the same block. Dime piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 o'clock. If it really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white square, been serving them on the same block. Dime piece with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. I got an old school bitch, call her Aretha. Shawty so fine, shawty she a keeper. Smoke that reefer, preferred by the quarter. I do this for my kids, my sons and my daughter. Get treated like a king. Hoes call me sire. One look like Lotto, the other look like Maya. My plug, he ain't playing, he only talking them numbers. I cop it, whip it, and ship it. My money come in bundles. Different flavors of kush, orange, grape, and apple. If a nigga trap me, it's gonna be a disaster. Dope money and bitches, pimp robbers and snitches. It's all in my hood. My homies say that I'm gifted, I really can't complain. Shit starting to change, a product of my environment. Tell me who can I blame? Neck like a Glacier, bought my shawty a bracelet. Money go, get her, that's why these niggas be hating. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 shot. Mythic really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white squares, been serving them on the same block. Bad beats with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 shot. Mythic really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white squares, been serving them on the same block. Bad beats with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 shot. Mythic really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white squares, been serving them on the same block. Bad beats with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Riding through the city, I'm with it, I got my 9 shot. Mythic really fitted, let's get it, I got the game locked. Green and white squares, been serving them on the same block. Bad beats with me, she foreign, she come from Bangkok. Whole team shadow, we stars, big dipper. Get a lot of hate, state gang in the city.